Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. So good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, Grinder, and Bam Bam. A full house of lizards. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some champagne and Armagnac, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 113th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Planet meets here once a week. We're going to smoke a Cuban cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We review the best and worst cigars and spirits we rated last year. We discuss Cigar Aficionado's recently announced Cigar of the Year, and we raise a glass to 2024, all among a variety of other things for the next 2 hours. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair both Dom Pérignon Vintage 2013 Champagne and 25-year aged Delord Armagnac with the Partagás 898. A Cuban Lonsdale tonight on the pod from Partagás. It's called the 898. It's a 43 ring gauge cigar by 6 3/4 inches long. And boys, I don't know if there's a cigar that we have anticipated as much as the Partagás 898 on this podcast.
Exactly right.
This is a very, very special Lonsdale out of Cuba. Regular production, but hard to find. And very, very exciting tonight.
Hard to find, not mentioned very often either.
Yeah, only, this is really a stick for people in the know.
Yeah.
It's not rolled often either.
That's true.
I think, once or twice a year they roll?
Yeah, and I don't think they rolled any, at least I haven't seen any. I don't know if they rolled any boxes in 2022. They have had some come up in 2023, but we're smoking MTS September 20. So these are just over 4 years old tonight.
Right.
Very, very exciting. And let's cut this thing, boys. See, we're getting on the cold draw on the wrapper. And then I know Senator has something very special for us, which is exciting. Just a tight bit of resistance on mine.
Yeah. And, quintessential Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Nice dry fruit.
Yeah, this cigar is just classic Partagás DNA through and through.
Yeah.
So my expectation tonight is this is going to be some of the best of Partagás, that we've done on the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm a bit tight.
Are you?
Yeah, mine was tight. I
Had to poke it?
Yeah. I'm just looking at the outside, the wrapper too. There's I've got a major vein.
Pop it.
Senator, what do you have for us?
All right. Well, it is New Year's, so I think we need to start with some champagne, a little palate cleanser before we dive in on the cigar.
My man.
He's this senator is very smart.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, this guy.
We love him.
Well,
What do you have
for the
us?
occasion? If you really want to go hard for New Year's, there's only one bottle that's going to come to mind. A little Dom Pérignon for us tonight.
Ooh,
My man.
Wow.
And what is the vintage?
2013 vintage.
Wow. Ooh, very exciting.
Nice
Very
10 years
special.
of age.
Oh,
So, we don't see the Sabre out. And I know we did another bottle recently of Paul Roger that we didn't Sabre. So why are we not sabering this wonderful bottle of champagne?
Well, very easy. At $2.50 a bottle, we don't want to lose a drop of this on the floor.
Yeah, we'll lose about a quarter of it.
This is all going to be consumed.
It's time to do the pop. Here we go.
Oh.
Very exciting.
Oh yeah.
So while Senator starts pouring that, can you guys believe that this is our third New Year together?
No,
It's crazy.
I can't believe.
I can't believe that either.
It's just amazing.
I can't believe I still like you guys.
Well, what's not to like?
So Senator is very diligently pouring the expensive Dom Pérignon champagne.
Oh, yeah.
This is very, very exciting.
Garçon.
Garçon has returned.
These
The eighth member of the podcast, Garçon.
Be generous.
This is very exciting. So we were debating between a few bottles, and Senator picked up the Dom Pérignon, which is actually, we've had a few listeners request this who like to smoke it on special occasion or drink it on special occasions with their, fancy cigars, special occasion cigars.
Yeah.
So this is a great one.
It's amazing how good a champagne goes with a cigar. I mean,
It's
you
true.
guys absolutely love that pairing.
It's refreshing.
With certain cigars, it's just a perfect.
It's got a great cleansing quality to it.
I think it's great with almost all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with a Cuban tonight, I think it's going to be
Oh yeah.
really,
Oh,
really
yeah,
special.
For sure.
The
There's
cold
no
draw on this is
It's excellent.
something special.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
It's
And I
so
really
rich.
like on these that they're not wide open, that they have that classic Lonsdale, just
Yeah.
a bit of resistance, you know?
And it's got a nice, rugged, handsome wrapper.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Rustic.
Really well,
rustic.
as
really
they
well
say.
rolled.
Yeah, and I think people, when a novice cigar smoker sees the cigar, they may underestimate it, not knowing what it is. But I think this is it's for me, this is a category of a celebratory cigar.
Well, I don't think
Indeed.
I
No doubt
don't
about
think
it.
anyone underestimates it at all.
If they don't know it, if they don't know it,
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
don't know it, then they have no business estimating it. You know,
That's
it's
true.
like this is a cigar that
dude.
is very limited in its production, and
it's revered.
That
yeah,
expression, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what this cigar
you
is.
know,
right.
If you know, you know.
This is, I remember when we were first really starting to chase cigars and chase some special stuff. This was, and still is a unicorn. Like
Yeah.
I don't reach for these.
No.
All right, Senator, it's time.
Yes.
Cheers, boys. Happy
Cheers,
New Year.
boys.
Cheers. Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's,
Cheers.
Jack.
Cheers.
Happy New Year to the listeners out there who've spent another wonderful year with us. We're so
Salud.
happy to be with you. Cheers,
Salud.
boys.
Salud. Cheers, man.
All
Happy
right,
New
here
Year.
we go. Dom Pérignon. Cheers, Puba.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Oh, wow. That is wonderful.
That is delicious.
This water is delicious.
Oh, that's so good.
It is good.
That's great.
The finish is the best part.
I agree.
It's like a creamy, silky finish.
Yeah.
So smooth.
100%. Where's the fucking caviar?
That's a great question. I
Yeah,
actually
man.
really fucked up.
That's for the after party.
I have
Well-
a fridge full of caviar right now. I actually should have brought.
Well, we'll go to your place after.
That's true. We can.
How much caviar do you have? How many of those 8-ounce things did you get?
No. So the best way to do this, I mean,
Oh no, he gets it in bulk. This guy.
yeah, but I also my way of doing it, I buy the 1 ounce tins because it's just easier. There's no pressure to finish it that way. So like you're entertaining a bunch of people, so you're gonna just dive into a big tin. But for me, I never know kind of the occasion, so I like to just get like a ton of the 1 ounce ones, and that way, if it's just like, oh, me and someone else, like throw out an ounce, done. If it's a big group, I have a special caviar dish, which as you
A
get deeper into
vestibule.
this,
A
that's right.
vestibule.
You have to get this. So it's basically, if you'd imagine like a little fish bowl at the bottom, you put crushed ice. So you'll want to get like a bag that you can put like ice in with like a mallet and crush it like really fine. Put the crushed ice in there. And then there's like this glass cone that sits inside of the like fish bowl basically. You put the caviar in there and it keeps it cold the entire time when you're serving in volume. So I just like pile on a bunch of caviar in there and everybody can eat and enjoy.
You want to know a trick for the crushed ice to make your job a lot easier?
Oh, I would love one.
Okay. The aesthetic of where you get it is a polar
Can I
opposite to
take
what
a
you're
guess?
doing.
Quick check.
No. Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A. Yeah, they have good ice too.
So
They
you
have
go to
great
Chick-fil-A,
ice.
they have the best, it's pellet ice.
It's the best.
So
Ah.
if you wanted to make crushed ice, it would take very little work. If
It's
you wanted
true.
to crush it, you go to Chick-fil-A and you go, I'd like a couple pounds of ice. They go, no problem. And they sell ice at
Wow.
a Chick-fil-A.
There you
Chick-fil-A is
go.
the
That's a
best, man.
great tip. That's
Yeah.
a great
Knew
tip.
I've
Yeah.
heard that
Because
trick before.
I mean, doing it yourself with like regular size cubes that
It
like your
takes so
freezer
much
can
work.
make. I mean, it sounds like I'm remodeling my kitchen when I'm just like banging away on this thing. It's awful.
No,
Plus
it's
you can get a
pellet,
chicken
it's,
sandwich.
It's it's pellet ice. So all you have to do is just gently like break it up, and you're right there.
I wonder
great.
what Popeyes has.
Regular ice. Regular ice.
Yeah,
You
Chick-fil-A
just
has
have to
special
stand in
stuff.
line for
Chick-
2 hours.
Chick- By the way, I know people who like have parties and stuff, and they'll go and they'll get the Chick-fil-A ice because it's kids love it and adults too.
All right, boys. It's cigar time.
Please.
Let's light this thing. The Partagás 898 from Cuba. Again, it's a 43 ring gauge Lonsdale by 6 3/4 inches long. The factory name of this cigar and all of the Lonsdales of the same size in the Cuban portfolio is called the Dalias. Dalias.
So last we bought these boxes, if I remember correctly, the box was 900 and change.
Yeah.
Right? About $917 at the time.
Exactly. And that was quite some time ago.
About 2 years ago.
So I think now they're probably closer to 1,100 or 1,200 for the box.
You think?
They were
So-
cheaper than that
We're
when we
cheaper
got
than
them.
that when I
No,
thought
he's saying the last purchase.
Yeah,
we purchased
that's my
years ago
purchase.
for
That's
about
what I paid.
500.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
500-600.
In the
Yeah.
last year, they
I
were
paid 9.
they were
Wow.
9,
Change.
and then
Yeah.
they went up from there.
Honestly, I'd pay the 1,200 and if I can find another box. I would.
Yeah.
Wow,
Immediately.
this is so good.
This is amazing. Wow, what a great start here.
No, is everyone smoking a 2020?
Same box
I know
code.
Senator and I
Oh.
have the same box code because we ordered a couple boxes at the same time. I mean, I had one of these, I think, with a couple people at the lounge. Maybe we smoked 3 or 4 of them, and then that was it. And then maybe I tried one more, and we bought 2 boxes at the time. This is like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long ago it was, but it was a while ago.
We all have similar box codes and the identical year, 2020.
Yeah, they're all late 20. Most of them are MTS box code, which is
Yeah,
a
it's
provincial factory.
MTS.
Yes, and that's what we have.
So they like Rooster said earlier, they really only make these once or twice a year. Very specific factories. They come out of the same factory each time, and they're hard to find.
You know,
And here
what's-
we are tonight.
You know what's funny though? There's a huge variation in the wrappers on 898s. Like I have a box of 898s that's so dark it looks like a Maduro,
Wow.
and then like others that are light, like this one I picked out.
Like this one's kind of like a Rosado. It's kind of got a reddish hue, kind of like a Lusitania, like Rob Isla was talking about. It has a little bit of that reddish type hue to it. But so, what are you guys getting on the light?
It's an incredible cigar right now. I mean, I'm getting a lot of dry fruit.
Get some baking spice.
Yeah.
kind of like bready
And
earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said bready
sourdough.
Mhm.
Like
because that's exactly the kind of note that pairs amazingly with champagne.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little leather too,
yeah,
kind of like a
leather.
Sir Winston type of leather.
Bread and biscuit. I think that's a good
I
call
got like
out,
a buttery sweetness.
too.
Yes.
You know,
Off the
that, like,
charts.
And the amazing thing is that I remember, so for the listener, when you buy a box of cigars, you lay it down for 4 years and you come back to it. Like I remember smoking from this exact box and us being like, wow, this needs so much more time. And now we're revisiting it and it's just so much different.
incredible.
Yeah.
I have a box. I think it's got a TLE box code, if I'm not wrong.
I've seen those
Yeah.
boxes. Yeah.
TLE,
TLE, MTS.
older. Yeah, this is so good. Man. This
It is good. My draw is tight.
Mine's tighter as well.
Yeah, mine's tight.
I'm still getting good draw though, and good combustion.
Yeah. it's
And
nice.
the flavor is just so robust.
It's off the charts.
And with the champagne we're having, this is just a wonderful
Oh, yeah.
start to the evening. So, boys, the Partagás 898, as we know, comes in a fantastic presentation. Comes in a varnished box of 25. That's where the name 898 comes from. It's a row of 8 on the bottom, a row of 9 above that, and then a row of 8 above that, totaling 25. And that varnished box flips open with a clasp, and it's such a beautiful presentation. And the aroma, when I opened this box today
Oh, dude.
to pull these cigars, is just, it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Grinder-
the first thing I did. I pulled the box out and I smelled it and I was like,
Grinder
I
almost
haven't
fell out
opened,
of his
I haven't
chair.
opened it in years.
Yeah.
Smells great. Yeah,
I was admiring the aroma very
Oh, yeah.
very quickly.
The one thing that frustrates me about the varnished boxes, though, and actually Pagoda and I were talking about this today, is that there's no date code stamped on the varnished box. Not even inside, not on the bottom. It's on the outer cardboard box,
Right.
which a lot of smokers, erroneously throw in the garbage when they get it. And unfortunately, that's really the only place that you have the box code on the cigars. And that's where the factory, with the transit seal, the serial number seal, all of that, it's all on the outer box, and the varnished box is just presented with the cigars.
There are so many reasons that this is stupid that they do that. I mean, number one, how are you to ensure that if you're buying a box, right, that it's actually
You
the
can't.
box that someone's claiming that they're
Mhm.
selling? There's no
Totally.
way to verify that.
No.
Yep.
You can literally take that outer cardboard box that says it's 2020 on the bottom, throw a 2023 varnished box inside of it, and you'd have no clue any otherwise. So
Don't give people ideas.
I'm sure it's happened. I
No.
mean, that's what's sad. Like that's a problem. And just I don't like the presentation of the cardboard boxes in my tower. Like I like the varnished box. Like, what's the point of varnishing it and making it look nice if you're not going to be able to display it in your tower? So
That's exactly right.
I just wish. How hard is it to stamp the date and the box code on there? I just wish they would start doing that.
I think La Gloria Cubana MDOs also do that, if I'm not wrong.
They do put it on the bottom, or they,
They
don't.
don't. I mean, it's just it's on the cardboard box.
Yeah,
that's
it's the same-
all of
exactly
them.
right.
All
Actually, I
of them.
think Sir Winston does have a stamp on the bottom. I don't think the bottom of the Sir Winston box
That's what I
is
think.
varnished. Yeah, there's a code on
Yes,
the bottom.
I believe so,
yes,
yeah.
it's unvarnished. The bottom
Mhm.
of that box, yes,
hmm
and the other part of the box is varnished.
The whole rest of it's varnished, yeah, with the specific clasp on that. So, boys, this is really fantastic. Leathery sourdough baking spice, just the best of Cuban tobacco.
Yeah, it's-
Earthy and woody.
It's
Yeah.
special. It's special.
This is the way a cigar is meant to be enjoyed.
I get some like mushroom kind of thing. It smells like mushrooms a little bit.
The
Like
aroma?
maybe the
Civil
earthy,
earthiness, yeah.
earthy.
It's so
I
good.
get it.
earthiness
I
from
can
the
get that.
mushroom,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about this cigar as well, and it's very similar to the Sir Winston. For how special these cigars are, how rare they are, it has a very simple classic Partagás band on it. There's no second, third band.
Yeah, it's very
You know,
understated.
It's very understated,
Yeah.
and it just I love the presentation. It's just you get what you get with these, and what you get is just fantastic.
Understated, but an elegant band.
Very elegant, very elegant.
This is only my fourth one of these ever.
Well, we know you don't like them that much.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
we do know
The first
that.
time Bam smoked these, he didn't love them.
Pooba, turn your head. Don't listen to this. Okay, don't listen to any of this.
I think was the first time you tried at Rooster's Deck?
That's right.
That's the one. All
That's
right.
right,
Yeah,
right,
that was the first time I tried as well. And thank you, Rooster, for
Yeah,
introducing.
oh yeah. Oh,
Also, beautiful. That was a beautiful evening.
It
Great
was.
cigar.
oh yeah.
And so, do we want to elaborate on that story?
Yeah, I'd love to tell that story. So we
I
show
love
up at
how Senator's eye just glanced right over. I know. Go ahead. I'll let you enjoy. Go ahead.
I'm not the one telling the story. I'm just enjoying this.
So we're at Rooster's house, and Rooster is so generous, when he has us over. And I think it was like an early fall type of night. Like it wasn't hot. And we started in the afternoon, and of course, Rooster, being as generous as he is,
He was extraordinarily generous that night
he just pulled out some incredible boxes and put them on the table.
because it wasn't just this.
And it was a lot of different stuff. I think there was some
Oh.
Liguria Cubana aged stuff.
Vegas Robania Classico. that
Classicos
night as
were
well.
out. Yep.
And Ras.
And Ras.
There was a RAS there.
I wish I didn't do that.
And Bam smoked the Partagás 898 and was not impressed.
I had so I'll
His words were, I'll be honest, I don't love it, but it's good.
It's good. So let me map it out. So I had this first, and then I had the Vegas Robania Classico 2011.
Right.
No, he had the 01 that
Oh,
night.
Was that
yeah.
01?
The 01.
Yeah.
I
Personally,
think I was here for that.
You may have been. I would edge that over this cigar.
It's different.
it.
It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Wait,
The
oh,
01
you
is
mean the
different.
01?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the 11.
Oh.
It's different smoke.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and that's where my position was really. That's
No, not
coming from.
really,
Yeah.
because I think your
But the
your actual position was based on Ras.
That's true.
Right.
And the comparison was with Ras, and you said
you are
would
absolutely
prefer
mistaken.
Ras on any given day than the 898.
I think you had too much to drink that night.
No, I don't. There are a few things I can't
Because
remember.
this
There
is-
are
this-
multiple
I can't
witnesses.
We're
forget.
entering the world of delusion now.
I
We
think
like
that-
to live there.
I think that 898 that evening was a 2008 box, wasn't it? It wasn't aged one.
I think so.
It might have
It
been.
was-
I
yeah.
think so.
That's not aged in your criteria.
No, it is. I'm saying like it was
Jesus.
like what we're smoking now. It's a 18 and 2020
Yeah,
box.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a that 2008 box. I mean, that's.
I have to say
that's a
though,
great
Pagoda
reference.
is right about the rest because
That's
we
wrong.
left bewildered how you could even compare it to a
No,
rest.
and I would never do that.
No, you did.
Well, for the listener,
Come on,
this
Giz.
is extraordinarily original. Way to go, guys!
It's all good. I'm glad we had a great evening.
It was great. So, boys, what's interesting about the 898, the varnished 898 is we're smoking tonight. This came out in the 1970s. And prior to this, there was an unvarnished 898 that came out pre-revolution, which was a little different. It was 42 ring gauge by 6 1/8 inch. And they discontinued that when they brought this one in the 1970s. And this has been the case ever since. But I've never even seen an unvarnished box of 898 from prior to the 1970s, but apparently they're out there, and I've seen some guys smoking the cigars, and I guess it's a totally different blend, certainly a totally different size. But then they did the varnish boxes in like the mid to late 1980s, as Min Ron Nee says. And what's interesting, I snapped a shot of his book, the Encyclopedia Post-Revolution Havana Cigars, and this is what Min Ron Nee says about the cigar. He says, "This cigar used to be quite famous for its very robust tobacco tastes and certain earthy, peppery flavors. More recent production," and he's talking about the early 2000s, "is significantly milder. Strength and flavors will nonetheless continue to amplify slowly with the fully varnished box with age."
Mm.
And I do think there is a merit to storing these cigars in that varnished box. There is something about time, like Rooster was saying, he has 08s. I have some older ones. And man, these really develop in the way that maybe Sir Winston is similar, maybe an Esplendido in those varnished cedar boxes. It really, I think, makes a difference.
Yeah, it must.
I don't disagree. I just wish mine. I don't know what anyone else. I'm looking around the room and everyone's kind of like having the puff it twice. I wish I could kiss it and have it just kind of combust, but it's not doing that. And I feel like I'm just not getting enough smoke out of it.
Could be your draw, right?
Same here.
Well,
I mean, I will say I looked at a number of mine in the varnished box, and I could see some were very tightly rolled and gonna probably have combustion issues. So I did the best I could to pick one out that would probably have the least resistance. But even this, it's a snug draw. It's not.
Yeah, Puba, why don't you put that down? I have another one here. You're welcome to it.
I
Have it.
mean,
Well, it's it's a special episode. We'll put it down.
I
if
mean,
it's,
I
if it's
don't
tight.
think.
It wouldn't be the first cigar you put down.
Well, I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this.
I'm very happy with
I'm
mine.
definitely experiencing it. Yeah.
So Pagoda, your draw's tight or is it
So
snug?
it's really really tight over here. I think it's so I'm just pressing it a little bit on this.
Where, by
end.
the band?
Yeah, by the band. It's really
Let me ask you this. So you were talking about pre-embargo.
Mhm.
Have you ever? Do they exist still?
Yeah, I actually got a gift the other day of a Partagás from the 1930s. I haven't smoked it. I just got it for Christmas, a couple
Holy
weeks ago.
shit.
Excuse me?
What's happening here?
I just got it. I just got one as a gift.
He's announcing it right now.
1930s what?
1930s Partagás.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, literally, holy smokes.
You
That
shoot
is
me now.
amazing. So let me ask you this. Are you going to smoke that?
Mm-hmm.
And have you heard any reviews of like pre-embargo cigars?
A lot of folks, the problem with pre-embargo cigars are just super aged cigars.
Or pre-revolution? What's the difference?
Pre-revolution.
Pre-revolution.
Pre-revolution. Yeah. Really the issue you have is that you don't know how they've been stored for 80 years, 100 years, whatever it might
Mm.
be. It's like you just don't know the provenance. Like you don't know the journey those cigars have gone on. So, you just have to cross your fingers. Thankfully, I got it as a gift. I
Yeah.
wouldn't spend money on something.
I don't
like
know
that.
anyone that's ever had a pre-embargo cigar. Don't know what they're like. Haven't heard any tasting notes, anything.
Yeah. So when I smoke that, I'll let you guys know.
Do we know anyone has
I
done it?
do.
You do.
I do.
And?
I have a friend who had a pre-embargo Upman at French Laundry.
In California. And what was it like?
I don't think he had the palate to really appreciate.
Mm.
So Puba's lighting another cigar that
No,
he
but-
got from.
talking about pre-embargo cigars. Actually, I was speaking to one of my clients. In fact, Russo, you met him, and he was in London, and he went to quite a few different lounges, and I think he was at Sauter Lounge. Or
Yeah,
something.
Stouter.
And he says a lot of these lounges will have really old cigars,
Yep.
Mm.
including pre-embargo cigars for sale, which run into few £100 up to £1,000.
Wow.
And he was in one of those moods. He said he was trying a lot of really old, expensive sticks for a change.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
he
you
said
see
he
a
was.
lot of Davidoffs.
Yeah,
coming.
Davidoff of London, the Sahakians have
Mhm.
probably one of the most extensive collections of cigars in the world. And they also offer very similar things. They'll crack a box and sell them for a high premium so folks are able to try those
Yeah,
older cigars.
I think the person that I know that had it was just like the price was way out of line with what the experience
Yeah.
was, and also, yeah, I think when it's a really old cigar, and it was old, it's weird. I mean, they look weird. They're like the wrappers. It's so old that it's. I think it's sometimes they. That doesn't mean it's necessarily better when it's super old. I mean, they'll peak. I mean, just because it's older, it can peak and then
Flatline. So
flatline.
what was the appearance like?
Of the cigar?
Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks
that's
like
great.
it was really well kept.
Hmm.
I think he got it from a cigar store that's been around for a long time. He was working at. I think he found some stuff in the back of their storage room, and I'm very kind of him to send me one.
You should have it here at our club.
I'll let you know how it is.
No, with
Yeah,
us
and
around.
just split it 7 ways.
We'll all just watch you.
Yeah, or
we'll all
pass-
just watch you
pass
smoke
it around.
I gotta say, I'm really Rooster. Thank you. This is like a completely from jump. Mine was just so tight. I had to before we came on. I ran a perfect draw through because I just cut it because it felt a little tight. but this is so much. This is completely different.
So this is the 9th Partagás cigar we've done on the podcast. We have done quite a number of, I guess, the cigars that we smoke on a regular basis. This one is, aside from the Lusitania, really the only other one that's not in its own series. This is kind of in the classic line of Partagás cigars. Certainly the Letter series kind of stands alone. The Maduro series stands alone. I guess maybe the Culebra kind of has its own thing.
Yep.
I think it's, this is kind of in that classic line with the Lusitania, the Partagás Short, and the Lonsdale here.
And how often are they making the Lucy? Is it?
I
as
think they're
rare
making
as
the
this?
Lucy. No, the
More often than
Lucy's,
this.
yeah, you can get a Lucy box.
I would
Yeah.
consider this an outlier in the entire catalog.
Yeah, I think the flavor profile is a little different,
It is.
than the double Corona.
Totally.
I actually think that you get notes in a Partagás Short that are very similar to this.
I think he's right.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think the Lucy's a much more mild cigar,
Yeah, I agree.
But
But that's a pretty good call.
yeah, shorts, I love Partagás
Oh,
Short.
yeah.
And the one I think we did that on episode 16. It wasn't great. It was like, I think we gave it an 8 or something like that. It wasn't
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
What
What a
a difference. It's what
Right?
a difference. I couldn't smoke the other one.
I could
So can
smoke
you
it. You
kiss
saw
that-
me struggle.
Well, no, I was looking around and all I see is smoke coming off the foot, just like mine was.
Pooba, can you
I
kiss
couldn't-
that one now, or do you still have to?
You have to pull a little, but it's
This is excellent.
exponentially better.
I love it.
And I like the draw when there's just a tad resistance, not like completely open. It's
Yeah.
just right.
When it's snug, it's nice. When it's
Yeah.
tight, it's tough. Yeah.
I'm getting so much more smoke right now. It's amazing. I'm only retrohaling right now. It is so delicious. This is like Christmas cookies right
Yeah.
now.
Great dessert.
It feels like cookies.
Yeah,
It's
I feel like, do you know those Dutch chocolate cookies? They have like the sugar all over it.
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like right now. It's so delicious.
The predominant notes for me are leather, sourdough, and like kind of a dried fruit, kind of
Yeah.
rounding it all out.
Yeah.
It's still tight. I mean, it's still, for me, tighter than I'd like.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It just doesn't give you the smoke output that I want more smoke in my mouth. You know what I mean? Classicos, when you smoke this like a similar size, it just
Effortless.
it's like effortless and it just combusts.
Yeah.
So that's my really only issue. It's not the flavor.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I don't mind fighting a cigar from time to time.
Yeah.
If it's snug. If it's tight, then you got to do the perfect draw, and it's awful.
Well, I think Lonsdale's in this Vitola, just like a Lancero.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a significant,
Mm.
amount of percentage wise that
Yep.
are gonna have a tighter draw,
Yep.
just by the size of the the Vitola.
Look how
Yeah, but
look
the
how
pr-
beautiful the ash is too.
the
Bright white.
problem with the Cuban cigars, the wrapper is so thin,
Yeah.
and
You-
the perfect draw.
It
I mean,
expands.
you gotta
Blow
be
it up.
Yeah.
So careful with
Yeah,
that thing.
that's true.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You move something around inside, it'll just
Yeah,
like
just
shoot
crack
out
Right
the
down, right to
side.
the end. Yeah.
Oof.
It's a quandary.
So, Senator, what do we know about our first pairing tonight, the Dom Pérignon?
So it's got a long but somewhat complicated history in the sense that it was named after Benedictine monk Dom Pierre Pérignon, who arrived in the area where they basically were making most of their champagne Hautvillers. I'm not sure how to say that, in 1668.
Wow.
So there's some history there, but the actual brand itself, when they started selling and bottling Dom Pérignon champagne, wasn't until 1936. And what's actually interesting, I didn't realize that there was kind of this incestuous relationship with a lot of these big champagne houses. So Dom Pérignon is owned by Moet, who owns a ton of stuff. But what's crazy is that the first vintage that they produced when the brand launched in 1936 was from wine. The vintage was 1921, so it had some significant age.
15 years.
Yeah, and they only do age stuff, right? There's no vintage bottles. There's no non-vintage Dom Pérignon, and clearly ever in their history, which is amazing. There's a little bit of debate because Cristal, which is very much viewed as a direct competitor, their first cuvee that they put out was in 1876, but it wasn't commercially available. They actually didn't sell it. So Dom Pérignon claims to have the first commercially available Brut Prestige cuvee, period. And then Cristal, sure, they did it before them, but they never actually made it commercially available and actually marketed it and sold it. So the crazy thing is that prior to 1927, the name Dom Pérignon was owned by Mercier, and was a gift to Moet when Francine Durant Mercier married Paul Chandon, which Chandon's another big name in like sparkling wine. So that gift is what basically allowed Moet to start marketing Dom Pérignon champagne, which is crazy. I mean, that gift is worth now probably billions of dollars. I mean, it's pretty insane. So just a bizarre history. But the Benedictine monk that I mentioned, Dom Pierre Pérignon, apparently this guy is viewed as like one of the biggest innovators in winemaking, period. Apparently he's the guy how there's corks in every wine bottle, champagne bottle. They used to use wood stoppers initially, and he's kind of credited with inventing using the cork for champagne bottles.
Amazing.
Which is pretty cool. Long history, but they're obviously regarded today as like the premier champagne house for vintage champagnes. And I think the thing that's fun, I have candidly not had a ton of Dom in my life. This is only the second bottle of Dom that I've had. And each vintage is very different. Like it's not slightly different. I cannot emphasize enough. Like some of the vintages, the one I had, this was years ago at a buddy's wedding, was very like floral and more fruit forward than this is. This is more this 2013 vintage, drier, more minerality. So each is like wildly different. They're not trying to conform to like a particular style and taste that is just characteristic of Dom Pérignon. It's truly a reflection of that year and the growing conditions. So it makes it fun for people who are passionate about it to chase, because every year is going to drink so differently. So people like aggressively pursue all the different vintages to try them, but it's obviously an expensive hobby.
What are some of the good like years to look for?
So I've heard like 95 and 96 are unbelievable. I think the 96 one is like one of their best ever. You know, what's hard is you're usually getting something from 10 years ago. So like 2013 is what's like commercially available right now. 2012, from everything I've heard and read, was not one of their better vintages. So this is supposed to be better than that. Apparently the 2012 was a bit sweeter and more fruit forward than this is. But there's a lot of good ones, but they're the best ones are all older.
So
they're not things you're going to find
If you
now.
could find a bottle from 95 and 96, what would that
Oh, it'd probably be like $1,000.
$1,000?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at least. I mean, in fact, when I went to pick this up today, they had a bottle from, I think it was 06 that was going for, this was at Bottle King where we get a lot of our liquor. I think it was going for $700 a bottle.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I've had some experience with it. I mean, I've drank bottles in my life, and I think the Senator's point, they're all different. My mom loves champagne. We went to the Champagne region of France. We went to Dijon, took a wine tour of Burgundy and also Champagne. And it's very interesting. Like when you go on these tours, they do this one thing that I thought was weird and fascinating. They take a ladder and they call it riddling, and they riddle the bottles. So they have to actually constantly like. So when they store the bottles, they store them like horizontally to the ground, and they riddle. I guess it's called riddling. They have to turn the bottles constantly, and there's like a person that does that.
What a job.
The Riddler.
The Riddler. It's called like riddling, and I just remember distinctly from the trip. Like I just remember one time, my dad had a client over sleeping at our house. And my mom liked Dom Pérignon, and she would drink it on special occasions. Obviously, of course, not as an everyday thing. But there'd be bottles in the house. And this client's wife went down into the basement, and they slept over. And she took the bottle of champagne. They put the Dom Pérignon. She came up into the kitchen, and she goes, "Wow!" Because they were all drinking the night before. And she goes, "Wow!" You know, she's like, "Oh, mimosas." And she opened up the Dom Pérignon, and I'll never forget the look of my way on my mom's face.
That's an expensive mimosa.
Oh yeah,
it was an expensive mimosa, and she was going, "Oh my God, I can't!" But she couldn't say anything, and she started mixing the Dom Pérignon with orange juice, and then her head almost exploded. But
Senator, you didn't bring orange juice for us tonight?
You didn't bring any orange
absolutely
juice?
not.
damn
you. She tells the story better than I do because she was so outraged, but she didn't say anything. But it's so good. I mean, it's always I haven't really had a bad I haven't had a bad glass of it.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It is. You know, for me, champagne is proving to be a a spirit or a beverage that's almost great to pair with virtually any cigar because of its cleansing quality. And that's what I love about the champagne. I can have any cigar. I could have a sit with a bottle, go through 3 cigars, and clearly experience each cigar independently because of how cleansing this is.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty special.
It is.
Yeah.
The thing about this champagne to me is that it's so smooth and buttery.
Well, yeah.
And it's just so balanced that I think generally speaking, they're probably better vintages than others. I'm not an expert on years and all that stuff, but I don't think very often they put out something that really is, off.
I agree.
It's kind of like if you're getting it and it's there, it's price is one thing, but you're not really going to have a bad experience with a bottle of Dom. It's so celebratory and delicious, and the buttery quality goes with caviar. It kind of like pairs that butteriness like pairs up with caviar because it so well. And I think that this, of course, if we had some caviar, Senator, it would pair up so well. I think that's why it marries up.
Yeah,
I agree. And the thing with, to your point, Puba, I've never heard there's any truly bad vintage of Dom. You're always going to get a great,
an exemplary year,
outstanding experience.
Right.
But there is something to pursuing those certain vintages, and I say that because that first bottle of Dom I had was truly one of the best bottles of champagne I've ever had. It's definitely, in fact, better than what we're drinking right now. But what makes it a little, I guess, easier to chase some of these, what people do that are very clever, whenever these are first released, they're all about $250. So what people will do is like every year, they'll just keep buying one. And you fast forward in 10 years, even 5 years, that bottle's worth 2, 3, 4, sometimes 10 times what you paid if you really just hold it for decades.
That's
so
crazy.
You're paying the premium because it's no different than cigars, right?
I was going to say that.
You buy a 2020 box of something right now, it's not worth a whole lot more. In 20 years, what someone's going to pay to smoke a 2020 cigar, it's going to be a huge multiple on what you paid.
Yeah.
Same exact thing with champagne.
Unreal.
So that's where you kind of take a gamble and, buy maybe, let's say, 3 vintages, and you hope that one of them is just an absolute knockout, and that bottle is going to be worth, 5, 10 times what you paid for it.
Wow.
Years down the road.
Amazing.
You know what's interesting too, and we talk about marriage with, you're saying about caviar, the marriage with the cigar, with this champagne, and the similar mindset to, the vintage of the champagne with the box, chasing box codes on cigars. And as we learned from Danilo in Cuba, when they have a blend, and whatever tobacco they get in, the blend is the blend.
Right.
They're not changing the blend of a D4 every year to match the prior year or 5 years prior. Every year could be different. So that's why we talk about runs of cigars. We talk about the difference in that tobacco, because once they set the recipe, that's the recipe.
Yeah.
And some years are going to be better than others, which, is very parallel to the champagne we're drinking tonight.
One other thing worth noting. So when I bought this was warm. They're never going to keep Dom cold because the number of people that walk in and buy this, right? It's very few. And because of that, I had to throw it in ice here to quickly get this up to temperature. The thing to just note for any listener that enjoys champagne, this is true of any champagne, non-vintage, vintage, doesn't matter. You want champagne to be cold, but you actually don't want it to be too cold. And this was a great experiment in this because if you've noticed, this should be drinking better the longer it's been sitting.
Just above room temperature.
Correct.
Is perfect.
Correct. So like right now, that's why I've been drinking this very slowly, because when I took the first sip, I could see it was too cold. So it kind of restricts some of the flavor. Still very good. But as it's come down in temperature, you're getting more of that full flavor, and like that butteriness is even just like next level as it's gotten to kind of its happy medium.
It's creamier as it comes down in temperature.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's balanced. It's fruity up front, and then it's dry. It's very, very balanced. Very pleasurable experience. It's Dom Pérignon. It's always going to be good. There's just always going to be good.
This is my first time having it.
There's no tight draw. You know what I'm saying?
The glass is wide open.
Fewer variables. You grab the bottle, grab a woman.
And a good cigar.
Yeah. Well, and whatever comes next.
Yeah. Hey, whatever happens, happens.
All BAM approved activities.
The other thing I'll say, why I enjoy us doing this kind of full range of champagne like we do every spirit, I mean, the other thing that I hope you realize as you're drinking this, the delta between some champagnes at like a $50 price point and a $250 price point, it's not as aggressive as with like some spirits or just some other, maybe cigars wouldn't qualify because we find $5 cigars that we love and rate highly. But there are just certain things in life where like the delta is so wide based on price, where you really have to spend so much more to enjoy something at a really high level. And I think what's nice with champagne, like cigars, is that, Pol Roger for $50 a bottle, 45 sometimes, is so incredibly satisfying. And a bottle of Dom or some vintage stuff that we've had, while better, that delta is not so insane that you feel like you have to spend $250 every time to enjoy like a really great bottle.
That's right, but it's the experience with the brand. You're making a statement. It's so celebratory. A bottle of Dom Pérignon stands for something, and you're paying for that.
Correct.
I mean, that's where that bigger delta comes into play because of the brand. It's all branding. I'm sure if you went deeper into vintage champagne, you could find something at a better price point that may be able to compete. And
I mean, we did a vintage bottle I brought of the Pol Roger.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think that also was 2013, ironically.
It was a 2013.
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
And that was fantastic.
It was
scored really
fantastic.
high.
That was
And
really
that
good.
honestly was a fraction of the price. I think I paid like $120 for that, where, this is $250.
Yeah, it's half the price.
Right.
Half the price, of course. But if you're in the Four Seasons in a robe,
You settle for the Pol Roger every single.
are you getting the Paul Roger?
He's saying you can't get the Dom Pérignon.
Right?
Hey, honey, pass the Dom, will you?
Yeah, pass the Paul Roger, or are you gonna come out in a robe with a bottle of Dom?
As a good friend always says, who got me into Pol Roger to start, she says, if Pol Roger is good enough for Churchill, it's good enough for me.
Absolutely.
So, boys, we always talk about this on our New Year's episode. Cigar Aficionado announced the cigar of the year. And it was the Fuente Opus X Reserva de Chateau, which is a 48 ring gauge by 7-inch Churchill, which they say, of course, is $19.50.
Oh, sure.
Which is actually closer to 50 or 60.
Right.
And I was looking at their list, and we're going to go through their list in, an upcoming episode in the next few weeks. But it is amazing to me how all the brands somehow line up perfectly in that top 10.
Yep.
They're all in there. There's no repeats. It's just every year that this comes out, I trust it less.
Of course. And even some of the most novice cigar guys and girls, they see that list and they it's skeptical for them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I will say, at least why I think we and other people still always look out for it every year, thankfully, there's at least one or two cigars that are excellent cigars that are deserving. Like
Wow.
we saw a few in there that we said, okay, that's
The
deserving.
Upman
Yeah.
2 won how many years ago? Was that last year? Yeah.
Yeah, last year.
Extraordinarily
the Upman
deserving.
2.
But
Yeah.
P2 at number 6.
Yeah, P2 was number 6
Yeah.
this year.
That's
Yeah,
good.
so it's interesting to see the Opus X there. I think they've won in the past, but it's every year they rotate another company at number one. There's never, and it's like I just don't know if that's reality.
Well,
none of it's
Yeah.
reality.
Like why
Well,
is
it's not reality.
Padron should be number one every year?
That's true.
Right, but that wouldn't make it interesting. It's all a game. It's all based on advertising dollars and
So then-
and relationships,
All right,
and it is.
It's true.
I mean,
Riddle me this though. How does the Upman 2 get on that list as number one?
Well, they
Right.
have to shake it up. I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
They have to shake things up once in a while. But I believe that it's all, that it's.
It's an industry marketing ploy.
It's
Yeah.
an industry marketing ploy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's all it is. I mean, they're going to smoke these cigars. They don't change all that much, particularly the New Worlds. I mean, from year to year, it's not like they're changing that much.
I will say
Cubans do.
Opus changes a lot. In
Cor-
that
yes.
I hate them young,
Yeah.
and then I've had like an Opus. I mean, a few of us had this cigar. It's like a double Robusta Extra, and that had 5 years of age, and
Maybe
it was
more.
maybe
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, that
It
was
was
Oh, and it's
incredible.
Yeah.
But
It was
they need
honestly
age. The Opus X
They do.
needs
They
age.
do.
You know.
Well, when the first came out, the tobacco was pretty aged, and I think they've been kind of pushing it just because of the demand. They're not aging it as much.
Yeah.
So initially, when Opus first came out, I mean, they were fantastic. They were
Yeah.
great cigars. So it built that demand.
Mhm.
But this list, like the top 10 or the top 25, it's a great thing for a beginner to kind of like source cigars, and he can go up and down the list and try them all out, and doesn't have to look further. I
That's
mean,
true.
it's-
It is. I've mentioned this before. I mean, Shelley's Back Room in DC, favorite cigar lounge of mine. They every year when CA comes out with their top 25 list, they procure every single one of the top 25, and they sell them at very reasonable prices. I mean, most lounges, as we all know, and any listener knows, the markup is pretty heavy when you're in a lounge, right? You're paying 2-3 times what that cigar retails for. Very affordable. And for me, in my earlier days with cigars, when I was living in DC, it was just helpful to kind of be able to run through that list and try different things. So the list, sadly, for all of its countless flaws, I think it's still a net positive in the conversation that it fosters within kind of the industry.
I guess there's a utility to it, right?
I just wish that the cigar of the year was something that's much more attainable, that an everyday listener or reader of that magazine could go out and buy. I mean, that cigar is going to be impossible to find now for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
Just because of it was named number one, and I think that's unfortunate.
There was a cigar, the Andalusian Bull.
Yep, we have that coming up.
We have that coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I've yet to smoke that cigar.
Me neither.
I
haven't
had
had it.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
It was impossible to find.
It's still very difficult.
hard to get. Yeah.
Still very
Well,
difficult.
the Pledge prequel, wasn't that the EP Carrillo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was pretty easy to get,
Yeah.
though.
That was pretty easy to get, but what a disappointment.
Of
That was
course.
a big miss.
What a disappointment. It's so, hey, if I'm running a publication and this is a commercial operation, and you've been doing it as long as he has, as Shanken has.
Yeah.
I mean, you know
Gotta do what you gotta do.
you know where your bread's buttered. You're running a commercial operation. I want my bills paid. I want my relationships. I'm convinced that these reviews are all, loaded for bear before they're even done.
I agree with you.
Now, Bam, you're going to love this. But we have to have a small Gizmo accountability hour on this one.
Oh, I do love this.
A Gizmo
I don't
accountability
care.
hour.
You know what? I don't care what it's about.
So,
That's not nice.
so
I don't care.
before.
By
it
the way,
was-
Bam just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, I knew he would
just
love
woke
this.
up.
Does
Let me sit up in my chair.
Does
Is he-
Gizmo
is
know
he-
what's coming up?
Is he eating kava bowls
So-
in
no.
his car now?
No. This is on the CA
Chipotle
list.
bowls?
What?
So
in the car?
Gizmo sent out a text the day before they were going to announce the big CA #1 cigar of the year, saying he was absolutely certain that he knew what cigar was going to get #1.
Uh-oh.
And we were even talking about the lounge. He's like, he bought 7 of them, in fact, in advance for us to do on the pod because that's how confident he was that it was going to be cigar of the year.
Oh, that's right.
He said he wanted to bet me the other night. I should have taken him up on this bet. I would have made out handsomely.
Yeah.
Gizmo, how did that work out? How did that work out?
Did it even make the top 10?
I didn't listen
No.
to.
No.
All right, so here was my math on this. So I didn't listen to what Puba just said. I, for some reason, stupidly ignored the Marvin R. Shanken publication, MO. And I was looking at the list, and I saw that Fuente hadn't made the top 10. So, of course, I knew that it was going to be a Fuente. And I was looking through the reviews of the year, throughout the year of Fuente cigars in Cigar Aficionado. And the Hemingway series Work of Art actually got a 97 or something, or 95. It was their highest rated Fuente of the year. So I was like, it made sense to me that was going to be the cigar of the year. Of course, to Senator's point, to Puba's point, you can't name a Hemingway cigar of the year.
Yeah,
of course,
just
I'm
like
realizing
that's
that.
such a basic entry level cigar. It's,
Of course, they're going to
good
go
cigar,
something
but
scarce. But
yeah, they're going to
Honestly,
pick something.
I thought because he's a global insider.
he was.
Well, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if I am anymore.
I thought-
2024
I
started
thought
off
you
a
may
little
have-
rough.
I thought you may have been tipped off.
No. They actually keep that pretty well under wraps, but I was wrong. You know, their process, I guess they just smoke everything that they did in the year. I think this got
Yeah.
a 94 originally. Then when they rated it again for the final competition,
Mhm.
it got a 97, beat out everything else. So I was dead wrong. I thought it was going to be a work of art. I wish it was. I think that would have been an exciting cigar to see win simply for the accessibility of it,
Very
the
accessible.
price of it,
Yep.
that anybody on any budget could go out and buy it.
Yep.
And here we are now with an Opus that's $50, $60, and it's going to only go up in price.
Yeah.
A premium cigar is always going to get that
Of course.
spot.
And you were right, and Senator was right.
Mm.
And I've lost my status.
Well, hopefully you can get your money back.
Your status.
You can keep your United status.
Your global insider status, however.
I'm the commercial. I'm the head of if I'm the head of commercial at Fuente, okay, I'm going to be like, you want me to advertise in your book? I don't need you to rate a box of cigars that's a mass market cigar for me. I need you to rate. If I'm or don't rate, don't put me in the top 10. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to put me in the top 10, I want to sell my premium high margin cigar. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want in the top 10, or don't put me in it at all.
Yeah, I get it. I was wrong.
I wonder what the process is, right? It could be as simple as, hey, whichever company wants to sponsor in the magazine.
So what they do is they go through all the cigars they reviewed during the year in the magazine. They take the top run of them, the top 50 or 100 or whatever, and then they re-review them blind.
Mm.
And that's what they call their process. Of course, when it settles, gets down to the end, and they're going through actually making the list, that's when they're gonna consider the relationship, advertising dollars, who won last year, etc. It is what it is.
Even though I say so myself,
There's no way.
the Lizard Lounge cigar list that we have on our website, there are 7 guys in the room. We test the cigars every week. You get a rating. This is directly for the listener. These are proven cigars for the good or the bad.
Yeah.
And you know what you're going to get.
So, boys, we'll get to a full recap of our 2023 in a moment, but I'm curious, what are you guys thinking? We're about halfway through here on the Partagás 898.
It's an incredible cigar.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's difficult to find any issues with it. It's delicious. It's consistent for me from the point of view of the flavor profiles. A lot of dessert notes are continuing all the way through. That biscuit that we talked about is still there. It is just so good.
I'm really enjoying it. Same commentary on
And the retro hail?
Retro hair is phenomenal.
It's off
That's
the
all
charts.
I'm doing.
Me too.
The only thing
the
I
chart.
would say, I did have to, like I said, I had to do the perfect draw on the cigar, and I've touched this up like 3 times. I'm also smoking it a lot slower than normal. I think that is because I'm not getting as much smoke out of it, frankly. But it is delicious.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's still leathery for me. It's picked up just a little bit in strength.
Really?
I would say it's still medium.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really, really delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russo, for the cigar, because this has really changed my experience today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really, really enjoying it.
Puba, how's your second one?
Much better. It's performing much better. It's still a little bit, for me personally, the resistance is just a little bit, the combustion isn't quite there for me on it. That's really my only complaint. But the taste and the flavor, it's really, really nice. I'm just it's leaving me wanting a little bit more in terms of how much smoke I'm getting out of it and the performance. The performance is a little, for me personally, I like a little bit more open of a draw. I want a little bit more smoke on each puff. I want it, if it's world class Lonsdale, like 2011 Classicos Lonsdale, I want more combustion. I want more smoke. And that's my only complaint. Other than that, the flavor profile I love.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that me, you, and Pagoda are smoking a cigar out of the same box, and I'm getting a lot of smoke output.
Mm-hmm.
So is Pagoda when
Yeah.
I see it, and
No, I am too.
Yeah.
I'm getting much more, but not quite as much as I'd really like.
I just mean the inconsistency of Cuban cigars. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
it's right there.
No, it's true. I mean, I mentioned
Yeah.
literally looking within my box, and I could tell some of these were just going to have serious draw issues, and I tried to pick the best I could, and even this is a bit snug.
Right.
I mean, that's
I did
the
the same exact
frustration.
thing.
That's
And we
the
know that
frustration.
since we've been to Cuba, we know that the entire box is not rolled by the same person.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, it could be
You
rolled
know,
by
so
25 different people.
25 different
Yeah.
people.
They
so
color
hence,
match it.
Hence the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, boys, let's move into our second pairing tonight.
Let's.
The Delord 25-year aged Armagnac,
Indeed.
which I believe is our second Armagnac on the pod, correct?
Yeah.
We did the Dartigalonga.
the-
Or?
Say
What's
that
the-
again.
The Dingleberry Dongabo.
I forget how to pronounce it.
Yeah, the Darlong. That's also not good.
Bam, I don't think Bam is the one to go for.
He's been my coach. This is why I have so many problems.
Don't say that out loud.
He's a linguistics expert.
I highly recommend, though, before you take a sip, just put this to your nose.
Yeah, the nose is amazing.
The aromatics, vanilla and caramel, powerful on the nose. It's really amazing.
Oh, that's a nice spirit.
Now, this is a bolder expression than the first Armagnac that we had. It's a bit bolder.
Yeah. This is really nice.
Okay, so I'm going to go on record first off on a couple of things. I'm going to go on record that I absolutely love this.
Here we go.
Beyond love.
Wait a minute. Is this a revelation?
Beyond. So I didn't really know much about, as exemplified by my text.
Hold on.
messages.
Let me sit up in my chair. Hold on.
I didn't
Go ahead.
actually know. No, I didn't.
No,
I knew it was French
Bam
brand.
is vindicated.
I'm on you.
You're
I'm on you right now, baby.
Oh no! I was, but only because I had an experience. So for the listener, we exchanged text messages about what we're going to review and talk about, and I hadn't had any experience with Armagnac. I hadn't, so I didn't. I knew it was like French brandy, but like I didn't know I hadn't had it before. So I just was saying we haven't. Is anyone actually had this stuff before?
Yeah.
It's the New Year's Eve podcast, and if we haven't had it before and it ends up being a dud, well, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's what. But this
Sometimes taking a risk pays off.
Oh
Yes,
no!
it does.
No! Hey, listen. Open-minded. This is outstanding.
Excellent.
Yes.
25-year aged spirit.
It's delicious.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
So, Bam.
It's
Yeah.
caramel. It's vanilla, and it's even a little dry in the finish. It's kind of balanced, and it's super. It's super duper.
Really nice with a Cuban cigar.
Really nice.
Bam, how much was this bottle?
So it's not a crazy price. I paid just under $86 for this.
I think that's a
Wow.
bargain.
Yeah.
That's a great price.
Great price. 25 age, year
Yeah,
age.
25-year aged.
Yeah.
I think the most I've seen it for online is 100, and the way this is already drinking, I mean, it's deserving of a $100 price point.
Agreed.
It's a premium spirit.
If he said it was 125, I wouldn't bat an eye.
I
That's
agree.
true. Honestly, I would not bat an eye.
So this is a listener recommend. Lizard Charlie recommended this. He and I had this months ago because we live locally together. Had it on his porch, and this and the other Armagnac, these are two spirits I want to continue to pursue. No doubt.
Can I ask, just out of curiosity, is this Charlie that used to come here?
No.
Oh,
No,
I
he's
was
never
like,
here.
he drinks
No,
a
no, no.
25-year armor. I was
No.
like, wow, I have misread him.
No.
I would be
He's
super
never been
impressed.
here.
What's
Never been
interesting though. But
Nice
it's,
guy, but I would
Yeah.
just not expect to.
He's
consume this.
never been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you talk about a price delta between maybe like a more mass-produced Remy and something like this that's been aged for this long, maybe someone can talk about a little bit about about Armagnac, and I know that it's produced in exponentially smaller amounts than French cognac, but it's a French brandy.
Yeah, the thing is, so, your initial hesitation, or anybody who's kind of wary when they see Armagnac and they're like, I've never had this, I've never heard of it. The reality is, it's no different than cognac.
It's just a
Cognac
region.
is brandy. It's just made in the cognac region, and
Yeah.
Armagnac is brandy. It's just made in the Armagnac region. So it's literally the exact same spirit, just from different parts of the country that naturally are going to impart some different flavors. But I think we're always looking for these hidden gems that deliver exactly what we're looking for in flavor, but maybe haven't invested as aggressively in marketing like some regions and brands have. And I give Bam credit for exploring this, because again, I was the big, cognac evangelist of we need to do more cognac. I had never had an Armagnac a day in my life until Bam had
Yeah.
finally poured me one. And
Well,
this is the second
right.
one, and I love this too.
And
Yeah,
on-
that's why I was I didn't know if anyone had had it. But I clearly I wasn't on that episode when it was reviewed, so I had no idea what
what to expect.
to expect.
Sure.
And also on the text you were like, it's Dalmore. I'm like, is this what?
Well, he was using Siri.
Yeah.
He was
As always.
using
That was a
Siri.
Siri mistake.
Siri is a love-hate relationship.
So I have a little bit of history on Delord. It was established in the late 19th century in the village of Lanapax in the Basse Armagnac region of France. The distillery was founded by a guy named Prosper Delord, who was a traveling distiller who decided to settle down in the region of Armagnac to distill his French brandy. And what I like about this is a family-owned business
That's cool.
and has been passed down through generations, still is family-owned. They have a ton of different expressions, of course, VSOP, XO, as we know. This 25-year age bottle, they have different varying, age statement bottles that they release each year. What's cool about this, and maybe Grinder knows a little bit more about this than I do, it's made in traditional distillation methods in copper stills, and it's finished aged in oak barrels.
Yeah.
Which is great. And this is a wonderfully smooth spirit.
Yeah.
The thing that's just incredible is you will never find a 25-year aged spirit under $100.
It's
Of
insane.
anything.
It's insane.
Older
Of
than
anything.
Guess.
I mean, when Bam first sent the photo and I saw 25 years on it, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, we're really going all out for this New Year's episode. I thought he was going to say it was a $300 bottle.
So I had this maybe 7 months ago, and I've been looking for it ever since. It's been impossible to find. So it's a bottle. I found it's at Bottle King, the last
Wow.
bottle.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think worth pursuing.
And how do you guys feel about how it's pairing with our Cuban cigar tonight?
I think I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I think it's excellent.
It's what I'm finding is you have a sip and you get a bit of the dry finish, and then you have a nice
Draw.
a puff, and it's a longer finish on the cigar, so it kind of envelopes it. I don't know. I can't express it. It's
I like that point of view. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think the dessert notes and the spirit and the cigar pair nicely
The
together.
compliment.
I
They do.
agree.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, you were talking about the Min Romney's book before and how the 898 has kind of dialed down in aggressiveness over time. And, I don't think this is a very bold or full cigar. And so this refined spirit with 25 years of age, I mean, it's just, we're all drinking this neat and it's just so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't overpower the cigar. It just perfectly complements it. So I think, for a cigar like this, having a refined spirit to go hand in hand with it, I think just works really well.
And the previous Armagnac that we had, I found that to be just a bit sweeter and not as dry. And not as, I guess the proof on this seems to be a bit higher than that spirit. It seems, because it's a little bolder. The difference between the two for me is intriguing.
I think it's 40%.
Yeah, this is 40%
Oh, is that right?
standard. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what else, Senator, while you have that bottle in your hand, you know what else I love about it too?
The label.
The label,
It's handwritten.
the other bottle we had
Well,
looked very, very similar to this.
Well, the Darlon that we had, that was a printed band or printed label. This is it looks handwritten to me. And there's a rustic beauty to this bottle, which I love.
Apparently, this has even won awards. On the back of the bottle, it says Chairman's Trophy, 97 points at the Ultimate Spirits Challenge. In 2018, it got a gold medal at some French competition. So
Wow.
it's even a decorated bottle.
Top recommendation.
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
excellent
absolutely.
spirit, especially for that price.
Like as an after dinner drink, where this is a home run with you have this on the side with a little dark chocolate, like a dark
yeah.
chocolate cake or something like that.
Although I've
Beautiful.
never ever seen this in any restaurant or bar. I haven't seen this anywhere.
I mean, why? Because people don't know anything about it.
Maybe,
and so the
yeah.
restaurant is worried no one's going to buy
Probably.
it.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm so glad we're doing this, because this spirit deserves its time. Like this is
Aw.
something that anybody who enjoys cognac would instantly love this.
Agreed.
And anybody who even enjoys, whiskey, scotch, any kind of darker spirit, rum, would appreciate this.
Yeah. Rum. Yeah. Good parallel.
Yeah, I mean, this is something like I would drink after a meal, as an after dinner drink with a smoke, a little dessert, and it's very nice.
Yeah, excellent spirit.
But it's not overly sweet. I mean, it's pretty balanced for being as sweet up front as it is.
Getting some like walnut.
Mm.
Is anyone else
I
getting
can
that?
see that.
Yeah.
I get it on the
this-
nose even, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good, Bam. Thank you.
Sure. Lizard, Lizard Charlie. Well done.
Awesome.
This is one of those moments where, if any of us were loaded and had insane amounts of money to like acquire any kind of distillery, I mean, can you imagine buying this distillery and just really marketing the hell out of it at the price point? Imagine how much volume they could move.
Well,
$100
You'd have to
spirit
ramp up your
with
production.
25. You would.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
would.
But The interesting thing is a lot of times the folks who do this and have passion for it, and they're aging the spirit 25 years. They may have no desire to do that.
Oh no,
And,
I'm sure.
you
I'm just
know,
saying, I wish in a this
in a
utopia
in
that we
utopia.
could just acquire this, and I feel like I hope that over time, and this seems to happen. I mean, cognac, even honestly, since we've started doing it on the pod, I'm not saying because of our pod, as much as I would love for that to be the case. I just feel like cognac is now getting a lot more attention and a big spotlight put on it in a way that I certainly didn't see 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I really hope for Armagnac that the same thing happens, because this is special. Like I would,
I could see Senator's next life being in this whole world.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
could be.
It's already happening. Though.
Oh, I think so.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah.
I'm actually fine, but nobody else finding out. You know,
That's another thing.
prices
That's
are going to
true.
just go up.
That's true.
Well, the category is it's hip in some circles, it's not in others. So it's weird. It's a weird category. You know, there's like an older, more mature group, and then there's kind of a hip, like the Hennessy kind of, cognac drinkers or what, you know what I mean? It's what's kind of in style.
That's the
and-
beauty of it.
and-
Honestly,
and
if you
all
think
that.
about it, how many spirits do you have where like an older crowd that wants, that robust, refined after dinner drink, but also a younger crowd who's like literally at a nightclub drinking the exact same spirit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy, like the range of people who these spirits appeal to.
Yeah, and Hennessy has made that leap, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
from
done
a
it.
brand point of view.
Yeah.
Cognac.
Cognac.
yeah,
Armagnac.
Yeah, don't give this to John.
All right, boys. So it's time to do our 2023 Lounge Lizards year in review
All right.
and name our top cigars and pairings for the year. And we'll start with our pairings.
Cool.
So we'll start with number 10, Mount Gay XO Rum at a 9.5.
That was delicious, dude.
Excellent.
And as we said on that episode, and I actually have had some listeners email us saying that they agreed with the comment that Mount Gay XO is as close to Cuban rum
Yeah,
as they've had, which is where we were.
and we've said that. Yeah.
And we've said that. And I've still used, I've still paired that with Cuban cigars at home. It's such an excellent rum.
Oh yeah.
Number 9, Don Fulano Tequila Añejo at a 9.6. What a fantastic tequila.
Absolutely.
Number 8, Balvenie 21 Portwood. We did that 13 episodes ago on episode 100, 9.7. That was a very expensive bottle, by the way.
Do you know how lucky we are? I'm just listening to this, and I'm just lucky.
So now we have a 4-way tie for spot number 4. So there's 4 of them here, all rated at a 9.8 composite score. I'm going to run them down. Havana Club 7-year from Cuba.
Yes.
The Macallan 12-year Sherry Cask. Tequila Ocho Añejo. And Weller Special Reserve Bourbon.
There you go.
All got a 9.8. And then we have a 3-way tie.
By the way, just those tied for 4th. I mean, that's a hell of a party.
Hell
It
of a
is, oh,
party.
dude.
Imagine you show up and you have those 4 spirits. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
you're not walking out of that party.
That's right.
And then we have a 3-way tie this year, boys, for number 1 on the podcast. And what I love about this, just as we were talking about, is it shows the evolution on the podcast here with our pairings. All 3 of spirits tied for number 1 are all completely different. So a 3-way tie for number 1 with ratings of 10. We'll start with the Cavassier VSOP Cognac.
Yes, sir.
The Paul Roger Brut Reserve 2013. We also did that on episode 100. And the Santiago de Cuba
Dude.
20-year aged Cuban rum. So
That-
those are our top. Those are our a 3-way tie for number 1.
That Santiago brings back memories.
Yeah,
I'm about to cry. I'm not kidding. I'm
I
getting
just
emotional.
I just love that we have a 3-way tie between a rum, a cognac, and a champagne.
It's
I
incredible.
just think that is such an evolution.
That's the word evolution.
It
If
is.
you would have thought back when we started this podcast, I mean, we were all just predominantly consuming
Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall a single time really seeing anybody bring to a lounge a bottle of rum, a bottle of cognac, and what was the third, Giz?
Tequila.
Well,
Tequila.
I was bringing tequila.
No.
to the
We had
lounge.
cognac, champagne, and rum.
Champagne would be the other one.
Yeah.
Obviously, me the exception there. And so the fact that this year our 3 highest rated spirits are all things that we never would have been consuming as aggressively as we do now years
Correct.
ago is amazing.
It's
And
incredible.
the Macallan 12-year is the only Scotch that we drink regularly that appeared in the top 10. That it was a 9.8, just
Yeah.
slightly below that,
Unbelievable.
just slightly below.
And maybe the Armagnac would make that list now.
Well,
Maybe.
So the D'Artigolong Bass
Oh, it's gonna.
Armagnac XO that we did on episode 92, we did that with the Juan Lopez Selección number 2.
right.
That got a flat 9.0. So let's go through some of the worst pairings that we've done this year. I always love doing this. I'm not going to be able to pronounce some of these. So a tie for number 5.
Pass it over to Bam.
No.
He's got you.
Yeah, I got you, dude.
A tie for number 5 with a rating of flat 6 was the Basil Hayden's Bourbon and the Enoch 12-year aged Enoch,
Garbage.
both at 6. Tied for number 4 was the Senator Barrel Proof Straight Rye with a 5.8.
I'm suing that company. by the way.
Honestly,
How dare
You know,
them
I brought
use
that
my
in because
namesake.
of your name.
but I do degrease motor parts with that thing. I do.
What do you rate it when you do that, Bam?
That's got to be an 8.
Okay,
It
good.
degreases beautifully.
That's a big jump. Number 3 was the Peroni 0.0 non-alcoholic beer, was a 5.5. And then the runner-up this year for worst spirit was the Doucet VSOP Cognac. And very low down at a 4.6 was the winner of the Raspberry this year for the worst spirit we've paired was the Barbancourt 15-year aged rum. That was a stinker at a 4.6.
15 years, that's a crime.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
rough.
it tasted like it was aged for 15 months. And it just was not good.
It was so bad. All right, boys, you ready to move into to cigars?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's do our top 10 list of Lounge Lizard cigars in 2023. We have a tie
So dramatic.
for number 10 at a 9.2. We have a Cuban and a New World. The New World is the Padron Family Reserve number 85 Maduro, and the Cuban was an H. Upman Connoisseur A, both at a 9.2. Number 9, 9.3 for the Partagás Serie E number 2, E2. Number 8, the Bolivar Coronas Gigantes at a 9.5. That was a great cigar.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that cigar,
Really great.
unfortunately, still not available anymore. Actually, that cigar is less available than the one we have in our hand.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2016, I
16?
believe. Yeah, 2016.
That was the last year, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then we have a 3-way tie for number 5 at a 9.6, 3 cigars. The EP Carrillo Pledge of Allegiance 2023. What a winner that cigar was.
America.
That was so good. I wish that they would put that in the regular production. We also had the Cohiba Lancero and the H. Upman Robustos Anahados. So all 3 of those tied for number 5 at a 9.6.
Excellent.
Phenomenal. And then at number 3, another Cuban and a New World tied at a 9.7 rating, the Oliva V. Lancero and the Partagás Coronas Gordas Anahados.
Wow. That Oliva V is something that we still talk about to this day
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
in our club among us. What a unicorn that thing
And we
is.
smoke it every week.
Yeah, forget
that
talk
price,
about
for
it's
that price.
cracked
Smoke it
almost
every
all
week.
of our daily
It
rotations.
has.
I smoke at least 2 to 3 a week.
It's insane.
I mean,
Same.
it's so good.
And that's a $5
Can't
cigar.
beat the
Yeah.
price.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's a $5 cigar. Yeah, I smoked that probably 5 to 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phenomenal. And, you know, we have a lot of listeners who say that cigar was a true revelation for them at the price and the rating we gave. And I've had no one say, wow, you guys are crazy.
Revelation for
Anyone
us as
who
well.
says we don't review budget cigars, watch that episode or listen to that
Correct.
episode.
Yep.
Correct.
And then number 2 at a 9.9 was the Padron 50 years, the Hammer in Maduro that we did on episode 100. And boys, number 1 this year was a Cuban, the Ramon Ionis number 2 EL from 2019, the Edición Limitada, which got a flat 10.0.
Delicious cigar.
That's an amazing cigar. And Puba smoked through them all too soon.
He did.
He's a baller. I mean, he's not gonna hold back.
I do have some for him. I'm going to give him one. So, all right, let's go through our stinkers, boys. We have a tie for number 10 of our stinkers. The HVC Hotcake Corona Gorda and the Rocky Patel ALR second edition Robusto, both tied at a 6.6. Rooster, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's right on.
Pagoda's going to have a day of mourning over
Yes, he
this.
is.
I'm
I
crying.
agree with the ratings.
And then number 8 was the Leaf by Oscar at a 6.4. That
my
was a
God.
stinker.
We still haven't cleaned up all the pieces off the
No,
floor here from
it's
that.
still in
cigar.
my teeth. The
And
leaf.
that's just from the outer covering.
Exactly.
Which apparently some people smoke the outer covering. I'm very confused by the whole
that's
thing.
awful.
All right, number 7, Tatuaje Tuxtla Loma de Cerdo, the pork loin
Oh, butcher paper.
at a 6.3, came in butcher paper.
Yo,
Rooster.
That was a rooster. That was a rooster.
Not a bad cigar.
At number 6, at a 6.2, was the New World by AJ Fernandez Dorado in Robusto. That was not even memorable. I don't even smoke it. I don't even.
can't even.
I don't even remember
blocked
smoking
from
that
my
cigar.
mind.
We have our first Cuban entry at number 5 with a flat 6, tied with the Plasencia Almafuerte Generation 5 is the Por Larrañaga Galanas.
Oh yeah.
Both of those were
Yeah.
not great. Wow. Number 3, this one was a major disappointment. The San Cristobal Hiramau Malaya Edición Regional Malaysia.
Oh.
5.8.
Gross.
And now we've come to our runner-up for worst cigar of the year, the Caldwell Long Live the Queen. Queen's Sword at a 5.1. What a stinker.
The queen is dead.
Oh.
That's true.
Oh.
That's true. And number 1 worst cigar we smoked this year was the Hoyo de Monterrey Elegantes LCDH
Oh,
at
I
a
remember that.
4.8.
Completely flat cigar.
What a
That
stinker.
was a bit surprising, I think.
It was.
That was
where
bad.
Mine wouldn't even
Expecting
smoke.
it to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You put yours down. So what's interesting to me about this is our worst cigar of the year and our best cigar that we smoked this year were both Cuban.
Yeah.
It's quite a range from a 10 to a 4.8.
I mean, that perfectly sums up Cuban cigars.
It does.
Yeah.
It's hit or it's miss. There's nothing in between, right? You're either going to get a great draw and a great experience, a tight cigar that you can't smoke. You just sign up for this when you're exploring the world of Cuban cigars.
Yep. Go for the staples and go to our list.
Yep.
Stick to it.
So I would say the 2 big revelations for cigars this year for us, just to highlight them again, are the EP Carrillo Pledge of Allegiance 2023 limited edition, which wasn't a very expensive cigar. It
No.
was just limited. You couldn't get them. I think it was $20 or $30.
Mhm.
And
well,
then Oliva Villancero.
some of us couldn't. Most of us couldn't get them, but apparently someone had their hands on.
It's time for Pagoda accountability. Can
This
you tell
is-
this story?
Okay, this is
Not me,
this is
him.
needed. No, because I don't think Bam was there to
Bam's
hear
gonna
this.
get
So
upset.
You're gonna be shocked when you hear this. Like fall out of your
Him?
chair, shocked. Oh yeah, crazy. So we're chatting in the lounge the other night about how much we love that Pledge of Allegiance cigar, and Pagoda's like, oh yeah, I mean, I don't have any more. I had bought like 5 or 6 boxes of them, and they're all gone.
5-6 boxes.
Boxes. When he said it, I thought he misspoke, and I was like, "You mean cigars, right?" He's like, "No, boxes." I'm like, I can't get 1 box. I can't even get an extra cigar.
Yeah.
And he's got 5 or 6 boxes.
We talked about that cigar for 3 weeks
for
after
3
we
weeks,
rated it.
and he gave
I don't
them to
have
all,
any.
He
I don't
gave them to
have-
all of his friends who are not lizards on this podcast.
Motherfucker.
Fuck Johnny. What?
You goddamn bastard!
I
I
don't have a
missed that
memory.
episode, and I haven't had one.
Not one.
Well, no, I handed it out to nearly everybody in the lounge. I handed it out to a lot of people in the lounge.
We're just chopped liver.
Chopped liver.
No,
That's
that's
what
not
you
about
chop liver.
chop liver.
That's good to know.
The best
No,
part
no.
of recounting the story.
Duly noted.
Duly noted is right.
No.
Don't worry, guys. I gave them out to everyone in the lounge except
I
you.
was just saying the best part of that recounting the story was the wry smile on your face the whole time. You're just like so happy about it. Like
I'm
don't
not
be
happy. I know what it is. It's not happy. It's just an idea. I was trying to recollect because I have a very short term memory.
I have a question. Who in the room hasn't had it? Puba have you had that?
Which
Pledge?
one?
What?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Pledge
no,
of
I have
Allegiance.
Allegiance.
No.
Yeah,
Allegiance.
It's a limited
Pledge of
edition
Allegiance.
for July 4th. the
I
Pledge
didn't
of
have it.
Allegiance.
I've
Did
never
he
had
have
it.
it?
I don't know if I've had it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
get
a
it for
good
you.
one. It's a
Yeah,
good one.
I have.
I don't have it.
I
but,
have.
my friends
You
do.
don't have. You gave away 4 boxes.
5 or 6
5 or
boxes.
6
So I'll
boxes.
tell you what happened was I went to JNR and bought 7 boxes.
Seven.
Oh my God.
I took all the inventory away,
That's
and then
crazy.
a lot of my friends really wanted it, and I just
Oh, we didn't want it at all.
No.
We're not your friend.
No, we're not. By the way, I went through hell to get a box for the podcast, and he got 7.
I didn't know it was that difficult to get.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Unbelievable.
No, that's why you bought 7 boxes. I
a good
mean,
point.
are we really gonna buy this narrative?
It was just immediate short term gratification, and that was.
I think it's hand up.
We know you were struggling. We know you were struggling.
Come
at
on,
that time and
there
going
you
through
go.
some stuff.
Thank you.
Hand up,
I
put
know.
down.
Okay.
I'm glad your friends enjoyed them.
So
Yeah.
Puba and Grinder, I have one for each of you guys.
Awesome.
I have 4 left. I'll give you guys one.
4 boxes or 4 cigars?
4 sticks. Oh, I wish.
He's only
So how many do you have left now, Pagoda?
I have none. I finished
None?
it very quick.
None.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Smoked
enjoyed
them all.
that. Might
He
just
smoked them all. All right, boys. So let's go through 5 more cigars that rated 9 and above in 2023. I think it's important to highlight these. A good blend of both New World and Cuban. We had the Davidoff Millennium Lancero at a 9.1. That remains an excellent cigar. That's also limited edition, so that's going to become even harder to find.
Boy, I thought that I feel like that's should be a couple tenths of a point higher.
You're right.
That's
think
a
so.
hell of a smoke.
It really is.
Yeah, it's a great cigar. Then we had the Monte Cristo Supremos Edición Limitado from 2019. That's also a tough one to get. That was a flat 9.0. Also tied with that was the Bolivar Royal Corona from Cuba and the warped Maestro del Tiempo 5205. And you think about those 3 tied for a flat 9.
From the point of view of price,
From the point of view of price,
it's insane.
it's crazy. I mean, it's just dramatically, varying in price.
I mean, there's one thing you can't take away from Davidoff is that they can roll anything.
Sure.
Consistency.
Except Toros.
Yeah, don't
Absolutely
okay,
correct.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
correct.
yeah. Duly noted. Their Toros suck generally.
And then rounding out our top 15 is the Don Pepin Garcia Blue Lancero,
Oh yeah.
which also had a 9. And
That
that
was
was
that
a
was
cigar
that was a secret sleeper.
that's a
Yeah.
sleeper like the Oliva V Lancero and
Yeah.
the warped Maestro del Tiempo 5205. I would say those 3
Correct.
were real big surprises.
I got so happy when you guys all loved that
Yeah,
Oliva V
dude.
Lancero because I do have like
15
have-
boxes.
no, I don't have. I think I have 2. I think I have 2 boxes, and one of them is. I think I only have one left, like half of a box left.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that
the-
cigar is worth pursuing.
It's so
multiple
good.
boxes.
The beauty of the boxes of those, there's 30
There's
something
so many in
cigars.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's incredible value. And we should take some pride in a lot of the members here are now pursuing that cigar. It's being smoked by a lot of other members. It's a very cool thing.
Yeah.
And then rounding out the stinkers that rated under a 7 as far as cigars this year, we have 2 New Worlds, the Ilusión Holy Lance in Maduro at a 6.9, the La Polina Goldie Leguito number 2, which was a hype cigar, rated very poorly at a 6.8, and another Hoyo made the list, Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure number 1 at a 6.7.
It's probably the least liked Marca
We hate
out
that
of
marker.
Vindicate out of like
Maybe Romeo.
Spiked.
Romeo's one.
Oh,
that
yeah.
would be 2.
yeah.
I'll be honest though, the Oyo Double Corona, I happen to love that cigar. I always will love that cigar. It's a little. It's different.
It's a polarizing cigar.
It really is.
We're
It
going
is.
to have to do that on an upcoming episode. Actually, we have the Punch
Yeah.
Double Corona coming up on an upcoming episode.
Just when we do the oil double Corona, we'll do it without Gizmo.
Yeah, like you did when you found it. Yeah, actually, I got it.
Well, all I know is I remember sending her on my deck at about a couple years ago at about 1:30 in the morning, saying, "This is the best cigar
I've ever
had in my entire life." Hands
You guys were
down.
texting me.
We were.
And he got into the last third and he said, "This is the worst cigar I've ever had in my life, hands down."
Hey, that sums up Cuban tobacco.
That's right.
All right, boys. So this is interesting. We had a little bit of a variation on our composites this year. In the prior years, they were a little bit closer to flat 8s, 7, 9, 8, as far as our composite score. So for all cigars this year in 2023, our composite score across all of us was a flat 8.0. In Cuban cigars, the composite was an 8.3, and New Worlds was a composite this year of a 7.9. So there was a 4-point swing between New Worlds and Cubans this year.
Who was the most enthusiastic raider in the room?
I think the one asking the
That's
question.
Asking the question.
So
Bam doesn't rate anything under a 9.
I love cigars. I always will love cigars.
So here's what I'll say. Bam is definitely the most generous rater in the room, which I think is a merit to him.
Thank you.
The composite score, like I said, of all cigars was an 8.0. The outliers are 2 people, really. BAM had an 8.3 composite for the year on all cigars, so 3 points higher, and Senator was a 7.9.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are
And
we
Puba
really-
actually was a 7.8. So
Okay.
so Puba and Senator right there.
Are we really surprised?
Who's the
No.
low?
Puba and Senator were the lowest,
Oh,
at
sorry,
7.8,
Yeah.
7.9. And then in Cuban cigars, the
they're both very
composite,
salty people.
They are. They are. And they sit
Yeah.
next to each other.
yeah.
If something happens over here.
Osmosis. It's called osmosis.
You know, refined palates. You know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And in Cuban cigars, this one's wild. The composite score for the group was an 8.3. BAM was an 8.6. And Puba was almost 10 points higher, 5 points higher, excuse me. Puba was almost 5 points higher at an 8.8 composite.
I
on
love
Cuban
you.
cigars this year.
I love you for that.
Cuban
Puba.
cigars.
Okay.
You're very enthusiastic about
It's
Cubans.
like, yes, okay. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That
I'm,
tracks.
I'm down.
All right.
I'm tracking.
And then in New Worlds, the composite was a 7.9, and the most generous grader there was BAM
Of course.
with an 8.2.
But
I love these calculations. I'm so glad you did that.
But this is good because like
I'm
it's
not sure if I'm glad.
it's not a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
This is the collective,
Yeah.
It's
composite score, right?
And,
So-
and what's nice about this is that the listener, like Bam was saying earlier, a listener can track along with whichever palette or couple palettes aligns with their own, and they can track that data on our website. So if your palette is like Bam's or is a little tougher of a grader like Senator and Puba, you can follow along and go through the list and see whose palette, and how we're rating.
But what's interesting is the composite score always makes sense.
It always makes
right?
sense.
At the end of every evening, it works.
and
It
I think
works.
I think it's as we reflect on CA's top 10 cigars, that is influenced by so many other factors. We're not influenced by these factors.
Mm-mm.
We smoke what we smoke, and we
Correct.
rate what we're tasting. And as a listener, if you want to come to our rating for the year,
Correct.
maybe in 5 years we'll be the predominant ranking for the year. Who
Correct.
knows?
I think they should
Correct.
fire the CA's panel and hire us.
I agree.
The advertisers
be
won't like
waiting.
that.
All right. I
Correct.
wasn't going to say it, but let's just acquire CA.
There you go. Done.
All right.
After Armagnac.
That's a personal venture.
That's correct.
We got some private
Want
equity
a partner?
friends. We'll call them. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll get the PE guys on the horn. And
That's
get
right.
Them, get them going.
Get the PE people on the horn.
So, boys, we're into the last third here of the Partagás 898 from Cuba. What's everybody thinking?
So good.
I don't want to be too enthusiastic.
Oh, come on. That's your role.
That's your data.
But
the data speaks.
It's still incredible for me.
Yeah, I'm really, really loving this. I haven't had one of these in quite some time. I'm going to have to be very disciplined to not reach for more.
I mean, I thought
But
it would
it's
pick
excellent.
up in strength. It really hasn't.
No.
No, it's been pretty-
like
It's
a
been
pretty
beautifully
medium-
elegant
yeah.
from beginning to end for me.
It hasn't picked up in strength, but I do think it's picked up a little bit in flavor in the sense that for me, the first 2/3 were like very bready with all the notes that we've described. And the last third, like the bready notes have kind of dissipated.
That's true.
And I'm just getting more of like the traditional
Spice.
Partagás
Yeah.
like DNA. And
Yeah.
I love that. So the final third for me is the best part of this cigar.
Right. For me at this point, I'm like an inch and a half away. I'm getting pretty deep coffee and earth.
Yeah.
The Armagnac is a wonderful pairing. And like we did on episode 100, where we also had two pairings, we've done it a few times in the past when we bring in champagne. But having the first half of the cigar with champagne and having the second half with this Armagnac, it really does create an interesting
Yeah.
dance of flavor as you go through the cigar. Like you've kind of split the cigar into two.
Dude, the champagne works. It works. That cleansing quality to it for me is the most attractive part of drinking a champagne with a cigar.
Champagne
It's
is my
incredible.
favorite pairing with cigars.
Dude.
Now. I bought a
100%.
case of Paul Roger for the holidays that I'm looking forward to cracking. Like I'm only going to drink it during the holidays, and that's my new tradition, and it's so fantastic.
And Senator's silently
Senator,
celebrating
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But
I'm
you know
sorry,
what?
But you know what, Bam? It's so
true.
silent, but at the same time, it's so loud.
It's so
I mean, it's something. It's
It's
something to
true.
take note. I mean,
Yeah.
if you enjoy, all the wonderful flavors of a cigar from any range, from top to bottom, it seems to fit with all of them.
Yeah.
There's no.
No.
It spans the entire spectrum.
It's so true.
I'm just so happy to hear it because you have to understand, look, for any guy, especially that enjoys cigars and likes to pair it with some sort of
gal.
a drink.
Or gal.
No, this is intentionally, I said guy.
Okay.
And the reason I said that for a woman who wants to pair a cigar with champagne, no one's ever going to bat an eye. No problem.
Yeah.
But truly, for most men who are not in the know and don't really understand and appreciate everything that we are discussing about how champagne pairs perfectly with it, there's like this little bit of a stigma. There's like, why would you pair a champagne? Like, that's not a man's drink. You know, it just is not. There's this weird stigma.
Yeah, there's a hesitation.
There
on our
is.
part,
More
And-
and more so in the U.S. I would argue than in Europe.
Oh, for sure. Not in Europe at all.
You know,
It's a U.S. thing.
It's a U.S. thing.
It's a great point.
In Europe, particularly in the U.K., they'll drink over in London. They'll drink champagne
with breakfast,
with
like Churchill.
Yeah, precisely. And so I think over here in the U.S., champagne's just kind of associated with
celebration.
Oh, my grandmother wants champagne and a mimosa with brunch. My girlfriend or my wife likes champagne or something, or I'll buy the bottle because it's a romantic occasion, and that's when you would drink champagne. Champagne, there's different types, and it's really versatile. And I think that try the right kind, and there's lots of bad champagne. So people have like lots of bad experiences with it. It's at a wedding, they come out of the catering hall with these fluted glasses.
Yep.
And they walk out with it and they greet you with it, and you're kind of like, this is shit. Like, I don't like champagne. Like, so the experience
It's
with
like
it,
glorified Sprite.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're getting like introduced to this when you're young or whenever, and you're like, awful. Like who would drink this crap?
Yeah, and then people say like, "Oh, I have such a bad hangover from champagne." It's like you're not even drinking real champagne. You're drinking like
Frisianet.
shitty sparkling that has
Asti Spumante.
right. There's so much added residual sugar. Of course, you're going to feel like shit the next morning. Like true champagne. One of my favorite just dinners. Period. This is a random story, but it came to mind. I was in New Orleans around Bastille Day, which is a huge like French holiday, and the owner of this famous restaurant in New Orleans, Galatoire's, amazing place. Every year he shuts down the restaurant on Bastille Day, and he has a private dinner just for like his friends, close friends, and family. And I was down there shooting a bunch of advertising for a client, and he was involved, the owner of this restaurant, and so he had invited us to his Bastille Day dinner. And he flew in from France, this like very famous champagne maker, and it was like a 10-course meal with every course had a different champagne.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, 10 different It was absurd.
You must have been in heaven.
Oh, it was literally, that's why it's one of the best meals I've ever had. Just like the pairings, and the first thing out of this guy's mouth, this French champagne maker, he's got his accent that I won't even try to imitate. And he goes,
"Oh, please try to imitate it."
No.
Please.
And he goes, the best thing about French champagne? He says, we're going to drink 10 champagnes tonight, and you will have no hangover.
Wow.
Yeah.
He says, because when you enjoy a quality champagne, you'll never experience that.
That's awesome.
And I'm listening to this like, that's bullshit. I'm going to have 10 glasses of champagne. I'm going to be hammered, and I'm not going to feel great in the morning. And I woke up and I was like, I feel amazing. And it was just, that was earlier in my life where I had real good champagne, but also plenty of garbage that I'm sitting there trying to reconcile. What do I make of this category? And when you start to figure out the good stuff, and again, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg for it. It's just game changing. Honestly, it just whether you're not even smoking a cigar and you're at dinner and you love seafood and you're ordering, shrimp cocktail or oysters or anything like that, the best thing you're going to pair with that is going to be a glass of champagne. Just same way, like with a cigar that you don't want it to overpower, you want it to cleanse your palate, be able to really appreciate the nuanced flavor profile that you're getting. It's perfect for that. So Grinder, you literally made my night saying that, and I'm just so happy.
You ever see that movie, The Grinch, where his heart grows?
Yeah. You know what? And it's reflected in his ratings.
It's right there.
He's the Grinch.
He's the Grinch.
I like that.
I'm sorry.
He's the Grinch.
The lizard who uses the Grinch
That's him.
gizmo all the time. So and who doesn't like Christmas trees. So
That's
Gizmo's
true.
the Grinch.
Yeah, and he
true.
steals
Yeah.
presents.
And,
He steals presents.
Well, the other challenge with champagne too, I think, for the cigar smoker is sometimes it's a sedentary or you want 1 glass of scotch or 2 glasses of scotch, and that can get you, 2 healthy pours can get you through a cigar if you take your time. Who wants to open a 60 bottle? Are you going to drink a whole bottle of champagne on your own? So
I've never done that.
well, I know you know what I'm saying.
Who would ever do such a thing?
God bless you. Bless your heart. But sometimes it's an invest. In other words, you pop, you open it, and generally speaking, I could drink a half bottle of champagne and drive an 18-wheeler. It's no problem. But my point is that you're not just, people aren't opening that like you open the scotch, you pour it. And I think that's a rate limiting factor to some extent.
It is true. And it's a good point you bring up, because a great hack for this, to solve for this problem, I got this as like a stocking stuffer years ago. And I think I've mentioned this on probably many episodes ago, but literally on Amazon, you get these little like vacuum sealer, like this top that you put in the bottle.
Wine Saver, it's called, right?
Yeah. And it comes with this little vacuum pump. It's literally like $10-15 on Amazon. And I was skeptical at first. I'm like, I know you usually use it for wine to preserve it so it doesn't lose the flavor and get acidic and go bad. And I've tried it with champagne and I was so skeptical. And I kid you not, you put this, it sucks all the air out of the bottle to preserve it. You just throw it in your fridge. You open that the next day, even 2 days later, you just hit the tab at the top, lets the air out, and
it's still sparkling.
It's
bubbly,
still perfectly sparkling.
Really?
Yeah, we should
Wow.
talk about what the name of the product so we can
That's
order
very
it.
cool.
I'll put it in the episode description for the listener, so they can go out and buy it. I have that as well. I've never used it for champagne, but it's so
'Cause
cheap and it's so great.
I have the same problem you're describing. Even when I'm hosting, obviously as someone who loves champagne, I'm always like, someone's
Right?
over.
Are we going to
have
drink this?
champagne.
Are we going to finish it? Is
Right.
it going to be?
And then the problem is, like, I get a little overzealous. And so everybody is well lubricated. And it's like one person wants one more glass of champagne. And then I open another bottle.
Oh, boy.
And like, I've drank plenty at this point. I'm not going to finish it that night. And then this used to happen. I'm like, great. I have like almost a full bottle of champagne that there's no way I'm going to consume at how much I've had at this point. And it just goes to waste and it would just kill me. And now having this solution, it's amazing. I just pop it in the fridge and I revisit it the next day or two.
we should put that in the thing because
Yeah.
I think that is a rate limiting factor. You can open a bottle of scotch, have a little taste, or, well, I got a little bit left in the cigar. I'm just going to top off my drink. Well, with a bottle of champagne, you kind of feel like it's a commitment to open.
Yeah.
it's true.
And the other thing about champagne too, and obviously we do this as cigar smokers, but there's an element of the sharing and opening that bottle like we did tonight. It makes it better when you're with other people
Sure,
sharing that spirit. So there is that celebratory nature to me with champagne that, this is a great tool, but I just find it better when I'm with other folks.
Of course, but you also want to be a little bit like Winston Churchill, who's just going to just drink champagne when he wants to drink fucking
Yeah,
champagne.
every day
Like,
it
you know
should
what
be
I'm
a
saying?
celebration.
In bed.
Right. With breakfast, with his eggs.
Yeah.
In the bathtub.
So, boys, before we get to our ratings, and we have 3 to do tonight, actually, I wanted to throw out one more set of data points that celebrates our listeners and this amazing community we've built. We had an incredible year with our listeners in 2023. The emails have been fantastic. I share them with all the lizards. I send them around. It's the volume of them has ramped up. Please keep sending your emails, comment on the show, tell us what to smoke, tell us what to drink. We had a 331% growth
Wow.
of our listener base in 2023,
Tremendous.
which is
Incredible.
just
It's tremendous.
incredible.
Wow.
So we're so happy to have all of our listeners with us. We're in over 50 countries now, listening on a weekly basis.
Spectacular.
The one thing I will say is Spotify actually sent us a note in the Wrapped that we get each year as a podcaster that we have a high level of very engaged listeners, which is really amazing to me that our listeners are they listen each week. They go back, they listen to our back catalog. We have listeners who say they're on their 4th or 5th listen through of all 100 and at this point 13 some odd episodes. The engagement from our listeners, this passion that this community has for what we have here in the room with our greater listener community, we just have to celebrate that because it's really, really incredible.
We do, and just what brought that to life for me very recently. We had a new member join our lounge who was a listener, and it was so funny to me. In the first time I'm meeting him, I'm sitting there with Gizmo, and we have plenty of inside jokes that we share on this podcast that if you've listened all the way through, you would know, right? It's like you're here in the room with us. And I couldn't believe I'm saying things to Gizmo that really only the 7 of us would know, or someone who's truly listened to this pod all the way through. And every single thing, it's like it's like he's done the podcast with us. He knew every little inside joke. I'm making a little dig at Giz. He's making a little dig at me. He's chiming in and bringing up something from a prior episode. And exactly what you're describing, it was just so cool to see. We always talk about the listener being in the room with us. To actually have gotten to experience it recently the other night was just incredible.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
I just
Agreed.
love all our listeners out there.
Agreed.
Yeah, we have a really amazing thing in this community we've built. And what I love too is hearing from other listeners who, don't live near us and go to their lounge, and they're forming their own community of lizards in their lounges, and they're doing what we do. They're smoking the same thing, drinking the same thing, and sharing that with each other. And that's just
It's tremendous.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it
So
is.
it's really something that needs to be celebrated, is just how amazing our listeners are. And we're so happy to have you with us. So I have 2 emails that we'll wrap up with, and then we'll get into our ratings. First is from listener Lizard Brooks, and he says, "Hi, Lounge Lizards. Hope this message finds you well. I'm a devoted listener hailing from sunny Santa Barbara, California. As you may know, we're blessed with near-perfect cigar weather year-round. I've been immersed in the premium cigar world for about 3 years now, thanks in part to my father being a daily smoker. I'm so envious of that.
Yeah.
I wish my dad smoked cigars. He's had an affinity for those dog rocket cheapies from Cigars International
Dog rocket.
since I can remember.
I like that.
I'm gonna use that.
That's dog rocket.
cheapies.
Dog rocket cheapies. Always a lizard with a dig. That's for you, Pagoda. That's a nod to you. I've been trying to nudge him toward premium sticks, but alas, he remains steadfast in his frugality. I wanted to take a moment to express my genuine appreciation for the Lounge Lizards podcast. Your show has become a weekly ritual for me. And that word really caught me, ritual, because it is a ritual for us.
Yeah.
It's really an incredible thing. Your show has become a weekly ritual for me, and I eagerly anticipate each episode, especially your insightful reviews on the cigars you choose, which is almost identical to my palate. The witty banter and camaraderie are awesome. And he goes on to share some cigars he wants to have us try, which we're going to bring in. And he said, in closing, I want to express my gratitude for the dedication, creativity, and passion you infuse into each episode. Keep up the fantastic work, and I look forward to more enjoyable episodes in the future.
Well,
That's
wonderful.
Lizard
Incredible.
Brooks.
That's
That's
excellent.
awesome.
Wonderful is that?
Awesome.
It's nice to hear someone say we're not naive school kids.
Oh, yeah.
Very true.
And I have one more for you from Lizard Sean. I know we mentioned him the other day. He had heard us talking about him on the podcast, and he said, and he sent me a happy crying emoji. He said, I just wrapped up the latest pod as a tear trickled down my cheek. I forgot that I had sent that email to you guys that I had read. As I was listening to the pod, I had a bad day, and on my way to the lounge after a really bad day at work, without you guys, I would have just gone home and been in a really bad mood the rest of the evening. Now I get to go and smoke a cigar and talk to the guys at my lounge and completely forget about my shitty day.
Yeah.
You guys rock.
He echoes a lot of our sentiments. We all have tough days, tough weeks, tough months at work. This thing just makes you forget about everything.
It's true.
Get lost in a cloud of smoke. That's all you need to do.
So I just wanted to share those two, kind of summing up the conversation around this amazing community. And we're very, very lucky, and we really, we still love coming to do this.
Yeah.
All right, boys, it's time to move into our ratings. You guys ready to do the rating on the Dom Pérignon Champagne from 2013?
Yes, sir.
Bam Bam, you're up.
These are all going to be very easy. That champagne's a 10.
Ooh, nice start, Bam.
Yeah, it's buttery and creamy on the finish. And like I said, I can smoke any cigar with a high quality champagne like this. Any cigar. And that's the utility in it. It's just incredible. 10.
Grinder.
It's a 10.
Okay. Pagoda.
It had me at the first hello. 10.
Very romantic.
Senator.
So I'm not going to lie.
Uh-oh.
I've been going back and forth
Oh, boy.
the whole night on this.
The Grinch.
I know it's not a Paul Roger. But hey.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Between a 9 and a 10. And the reason I say that, my first experience with Dom, like I said, it was spectacular. Perfection. Like if I could have asked someone to blend and make a champagne for me, that's what it would have been. and that was a 10. This is tough because when I took the first few sips, I was at a 9. As it came down in temperature, I was getting closer to 10. But I am going to go with a 9.
Whoa.
Which is still a great score. And that is not to knock this bottle. It's just the standard for Dom Pérignon is so high. It's such a credit to them, right? Like, this were many other brands, I wouldn't be saying anything I am right now. I think that there are other vintages out there that, and not crazy vintage, I'm not talking about stuff from 20, 30 years ago, but more recent, that edge this a bit, that would round up to a 10 for me. And the price point is serious. I mean, to spend $250 on a bottle of champagne, you want it to be perfect. And for me, this was, so the buttery, smooth, silky delivery, that's characteristic of every vintage of Dom. That's what makes Dom Pérignon. And that definitely delivers there. It's the balance of flavors. I got like aggressive minerality and not much fruit. Like,
No.
and I want a little bit because the vintage that I loved, and I really wish I remembered the year, it's within the last 5 years, I got like these like very faint floral and peach notes, and I don't like anything overly sweet, but it was just subtle and complex enough that it was like just the perfect delivery. It was like an LGC that like Rooster would love, but like champagne. And I just wanted some more complexity from the sweeter side, not sweet, but sweeter in the sense that some of those fruit notes, and that what I've had before would have given it to 10. So I'm going to be at a 9, and that means that this is, I think, an excellent vintage, but I'm going to pursue other ones that I think might check that 10 for me.
You know, you're entering into deep waters with your knowledge that most of us, I certainly don't have it. So I respect your rating.
So I actually thought that I was going to get yelled at. So I'm terribly relieved. Like, terribly relieved.
Are you following someone's footsteps?
No, I actually had written down a 9 even before
Okay.
we started the ratings on this. It is a 9 for me. I think that the reason why I'm going to give it a 9, I'm piggybacking on your flavor notes. I think it's amazing. I think it's excellent. Factoring in value, to Grinder's point, going out and buying that case of Paul Roger, the value there,
It's tremendous.
I mean,
it's true.
you can't beat that value.
True.
So at $250 a bottle, chasing this aged, the vintage here, it's just not for me. So I'm only going to drink this on very, very rare special occasions. It's not something that I'm going to go buy and reach for. And I'm very comfortable in 9. Like I said, I thought I was going to be the only one, but that's absolutely perfect for me tonight. Puba.
Yeah, I'm gonna stray from that a little bit. It delivers, the Dom Pérignon delivers more of a buttery balanced note. I did get more fruit out of it than Senator got. I thought it was fruit forward, more than what he got out of it, or maybe what you got out of it. That's just what I got. So for me, I thought it was balanced. I did get fruit. I did get that sweetness and that butteriness, and to me, it delivered a really balanced experience. So I'm going to give it an unabashed 10.
Nice.
I'm going to go there. I mean, if I had to split hairs, would it be, that would maybe be a different conversation, but I'm going to, I'm rounding up a little bit, because.
And I respect the 10s.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
too.
I'm
I'm
going to
not
give it,
knocking
but
it.
I mean, I'm not saying that like it's a, that there isn't anything maybe better out there, but for me, I do diverge a little bit from. I got that. I got butter, and I got that delivery that you kind of can't really
replicate.
It's tough
You're
to.
not
It's a
gonna-
little bit tough to beat. That probably under other vintages out there that may deliver an experience, but it's all personal. So for me, it's a 10 on the Dom.
So that, boys, puts the formal liquor rating on the Dom Pérignon at a 9.7.
Fantastic.
That's a great
Perfect
score.
score.
Perfect score.
I tend not to factor in cost. Maybe I should, but I am enthusiastic. But if I love something, I'm gonna go buy it and I'm gonna enjoy it. Honestly, there aren't many things that you can buy for a few $100s and have an incredible time with it.
Yeah.
So they just
So
aren't.
that's exactly what I feel.
Right?
You know,
You just
Because
aren't.
the Delta,
Walking into a Dom-
I'm
Yeah,
looking at
dude.
it like this,
Yeah.
like the Delta that we were talking about. The Delta is the brand.
Correct.
So the price Delta is the brand of Dom. So if you take that out of the equation, this just delivers a more refined experience than your Paul Roger.
And look, I love Paul Roger, but I don't get that
then-
buttery experience.
But
I
the
don't.
vintage
Clarify,
Paul Roger,
then non-vintage Paul
right,
Roger.
right,
Okay, right.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The non-vintage Paul Roger. So you know, for me it was a 10.
Cool.
You know.
All right, boys, it's time to do the formal liquor rating now. On our second pairing tonight, the Delord 25-year aged Armagnac. Bam Bam, you're up.
Yeah, this is also a 10 for me. Honestly, as I take a sip, the aromatics are so powerful with vanilla and caramel. It's incredible. Yeah, and there aren't many spirits that I've experienced that with. This is a 10 for me.
Grinder.
It's so I didn't consume as much tonight, but it is delicious, and the aroma. I spent a lot of time just sniffing it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so consuming and sweet and
Not overtly
smooth.
sweet though. Yeah.
And for me, it's a 9, which I think is a good
It's a
score.
great score.
Pagoda.
Yeah, for me it's a 9. I've been debating between a 9 and a 10, but my experience, and unfortunately, I'm comparing with the Dom, right? Because we're smoking the same cigar, and now we're having, champagne, and then we're having the Armagnac, and I just enjoyed my experience with the champagne a lot more. But I'm also a champagne drinker, so I don't know whether it's somewhat biased. But if I were to continue smoking, and if you were to open both the bottles in front of me again, I would definitely head towards the champagne as opposed to the Armagnac. And very, very pleasant. By the way, I think if we were doing it independently, my score might have been different. But it's a 9 for me.
Senator.
So the Armagnac for me was the star of the show. It's a 10 all day. This is one of the most enjoyable spirits I've consumed this entire calendar year. It's not even close. I would absolutely, and I will go pursue buying this bottle.
It's different.
I can't believe the price point. I mean, truly, if you said this is a $200 spirit, I'd believe it. It's that smooth. It's that
different.
refined. It's that robust. It's full flavored. I mean, it checks every box that you want out of a brandy, whether it's made in cognac or Armagnac. So for me, it's definitely a 10. And this opens up Pandora's box because now I want to really go deep into Armagnac.
Agreed.
So I'm exactly in the same place. I'm at a 10. I think this Armagnac is phenomenal. I think the price is phenomenal. It's something I'm going to pursue tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out which bottle King Bam went to. I'm going to go there tomorrow.
There's none over there. Unfortunately.
And that's where, not comparing the spirits, but, the Dom Pérignon at a 9 for me is something I'm just not even thinking about going out and buying. I enjoyed the experience. It's not something I'm going to look to repeat. This Armagnac tonight, unbelievable for me. Yeah. Unbelievable. Like Puba said when he picked it up, completely blew him away. Mm-hmm. What Senator just said, flavor note wise, it was he nailed it for me. It was perfect. I am totally impressed with this Armagnac at 25 years age at $86.
Yep.
It's a 10.
And I know Puba's got to do a rating, but what's crazy about this is would be incredible during the holidays, but it's incredible every single day.
Year round.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Puba.
I feel there's a richness to it, and like a viscosity to this makes it like I can drink multiple. It's rich in flavor and it's deep in flavor, and but it's balanced. There's a lot of merit to this, and I'm just trying to figure out where it slots. I mean, I feel like I can drink more volume or have multiple glasses of like Remy, where this feels like more of an after dinner drink to me.
I mean, this is 25 years age. We'd say the same about a Balvenie 21.
It's true.
Yeah. I think I'm at a 10 because of what it stands for. Yeah, it is. I mean, but it slots in for me in a different spot than like a Remy or an everyday kind of cognac would. I don't see myself drinking this like multiple glasses of it, I guess. maybe that's
No, that's
my
not crazy.
problem.
I mean, let's be honest. We did Remy XO. I'm not going to drink Remy XO every day,
That's
but
true.
I still
Yeah.
gave it a 10.
Yeah. So and I'm just thinking about it. I'm just trying to be, prescriptive in the review. I'm going to give it a 10 because of what it stands for. It's an after dinner drink for me. It's something I'm going to have one, maybe two. Where like I feel like I could drink, a Remy VSOP. I could have four easily. Not that this was aggressive or anything like that. It's just that there's a richness to it and a depth to it. I give it a 10 all day. It's really an interesting. This Armagnac is really something interesting. I'm going to pursue more of it. Very pleased. I just had to think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
So the formal liquor rating boys.
Sorry for being so protracted in my analysis.
Not at all.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So the formal liquor rating boys on the Delord 25 years aged Armagnac tonight is a 9.7, right in line
Very good.
with the Dom Pérignon Champagne.
Wow.
And now it is time to move in to the formal lizard rating
For this awful cigar.
on the Partagás 898. Rooster, you're up.
So 898 is one of my favorite cigars. I mean, I love the cigar. I don't reach for it often enough. It's just the price and so hard to get. I'm going to give this a 9. Having said that, I've had some older 898s. I think they do need some age. So older boxes, I think just the flavor is just wonderful. But this cigar also delivered, there was leather, there was a little bit of spice, there was that bready note and sourdough notes, and it was a great cigar. So overall, and I didn't have any draw issues, burn issues. My combustion was great. So I'm going to give it a 9.
Puba.
It's a 9 for me. It's been a 9 the whole way through. I just don't. It doesn't reach that kind of level for me. The combustion issues and the draw issues is just a non-starter. If I can't get enough smoke into my mouth, even with I lit another one because the first one was too tight. So for me. Performance wise, it could do a lot better. I think if the blend is great, the taste is great, the performance took it down a notch for me, so it's a 9.
So I'm in the same camp. I wish this was going to be a 10 tonight. I think, like Rooster said, I think this is a cigar that does need more than 4 years of age. I think it's something that at 6, 8, 10 years, it starts to reach that next level of excellent Cuban tobacco, which was certainly my reference point coming in tonight. This 2020 box was really good.
Yeah.
It smoked really well. Unfortunately, like you said, it's so hard to get. The price now is very, very high. It's something that you don't reach for very often. And the value that it provided tonight, to Puba's point, not a lot of, the draw was resistant, not a lot of smoke output. It was still pleasurable for me, but it certainly was not the best of the best like I was hoping it to be. So I am a slight bit disappointed giving it a 9 tonight, but that's the right rating.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a bit spoiled because having had
course.
some older 898s
On your porch.
kind of compare to that, and then you realize like, okay, this is a great cigar, but we have had a better
True.
We
And it's
blame
not
you,
just-
Rooster.
But I
We
would
blame
say,
you.
I will say one caveat: the age is not the only thing; it's the construction.
Senator.
It's a 9 for me for all the reasons that have been stated. But, Rooster's point about we've been spoiled and had other years. For me, the 9 is not just because I've had other years. It's for what Puba described. I mean, honestly, I've had several 898s, and many of them have had a very tight draw where, like Puba describes, you just can't get as much smoke as you want out of that cigar. And at the price point, you expect it to be able to do that much more consistently than it does. And it detracts from the experience. So a 9 is still an amazing score. I mean, the
Sure it
flavor
is.
profile is awesome.
Mhm.
With age, it definitely gets better. It gets fuller. It's more concentrated and rich. But the honestly, just the construction is the biggest challenge for why right now it's a 9 for me.
Pagoda.
It's a 9 for me, but I think Roos has really spoiled me. I think from my first experience on the deck, having that 898, that was hands down 10. Then we've had it a couple of other times. Those were 10s. I came in so excited to be smoking the 898 because it is one of my favorite cigars. Not that I've had many of them, but when you have these cigars which are few and you kind of idolize and you're looking and you really want to experience them and you want to really enjoy them, I was coming in seeking that experience.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And my first cigar was a dud. Thanks, Rooster. He hooked me up with another one, and which was fantastic and brought a smile on my face and experienced all the flavors. And considering just the overall experience, it's a 9 for me.
Grinder.
I'm not going to beat a dead horse. It's a 9 for me for all the reasons cited.
Bam Bam.
So I love the way Pagoda put it, idolize. I do idolize the cigar because it's so difficult to attain. And, all of you speak incredibly about the cigar. I've only had 40s. This is my 4th ever. I've never had a draw issue. None were ever plugged. The first 2 inches on this for me was a 10. And it dissipated and it kind of leveled out and settled in. I am at a 9. I don't think that's a demerit. I think that's an elite score for this cigar, and I think it's an incredible experience.
It's like a RAS.
You're throwing me off, man.
My thing for me, but for me, like what's disappointing is the blend is super.
Yeah,
it's super. The flavor profile of the cigar is super, and it's like when it's good. I think to what Pagoda was saying and what everyone agrees with here in the commentary is that like when it's if it would just draw the right way, like if it would perform in the way it should perform, like the score would be higher. There'd be more 10s in the room. That's the frustrating thing because it's like everything's there, but the performance just honestly, the performance was subpar.
I've never had that problem.
Exactly.
I really haven't.
I've
Sorry.
had like few boxes. Like I have not had a single plugged
Never.
898.
No,
Now,
same.
Lucy's on the other hand, plenty.
These
But
weren't
not an eight.
Fascinating
these
because I've
weren't
had the
plugged.
opposite.
These weren't plugged. They were
tight. They were
Too
really
tight.
tight. Right. I mean, tight that you couldn't even enjoy a cigar. So
yeah. So maybe
that's,
maybe
you know,
that's
Yeah.
maybe that's you could define it as plugged, but whatever you want to call it.
right. So
It's
I haven't had that experience.
disappointing.
Yeah.
It's just
It is.
because everything is there. All the ingredients is there, and it's like a great piece of steak, and you cooked it to medium plus or something. You know what I mean? Like and you're just going, God damn it!
Yep.
All the this.
That's a great analogy.
It tastes everything's there, but you just fucked it up.
Well, and
you know what I mean? Like
I think this cigar rating a 9 and us having this
I was about to say
disappointed
that.
conversation about a rating of a 9 tells you what our expectation
Right.
and previous experiences
Yeah.
with this cigar have
And
been.
I think Pagoda nailed it on head. I idolize. This is an ideal cigar that we want and we
Yeah.
pursue. A 9 is still an incredible score.
Right. And it just tells you how incredible this cigar is.
Right.
That
And
we're
can be.
upset that we're giving it a 9. I don't think
It's
there's
upsetting.
ever been a cigar that we reviewed where we gave it a 9 and said, man, it really just should have gotten that 10. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And we
that
want it.
elitist cigar
It's
that we know it can hit that 10. We've had it.
Right.
That's
It's
right.
overcooked wagyu. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
you're like, dude, you're so close. You know?
I think
you hit it on the nail. There.
That's the best. That is a great
That is the
analogy.
best.
honestly, the three of you, like Pagoda, Senator, and Puba, you got the commentary is so accurate about the cigar. We want it to be a 10. The desires to
It's
give it a
there
10.
though.
It
like,
is, dude.
the-
It
like,
is.
and
I know.
the
it also-
blend is there.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
also kills you because when we bought these boxes about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we paid like $500 for those.
Oh, I paid more.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
But-
bought it earlier. Yeah.
But if you buy them now and
It's
you're paying
outrageous.
like over $1,000 for a fresh box,
$1,100.
and then you're gonna get like half of them not perform well. I mean, that's
it's
a problem.
crazy.
that
It's
bugs you even
disheartening.
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The former Lizard rating, boys, is a flat 9.0
There you go.
on the Partagás 898, which is
Elite.
for the first time
Still.
a highly disappointing score in the room tonight.
Well, no, it
9.0.
shouldn't be that because it's a better cigar than
It
that.
says a lot about the cigar. Yeah.
So let's do some comparing on our 3 ratings tonight. We'll start with the champagne. We've actually only rated 2 other champagnes on the podcast. We've drank more than that, but we've only rated 2 of them.
How drunk were we that we've only rated 2
I know.
champagnes? We've had a
That's
lot more than
true.
2.
The Villemar and C champagne got an 8.7, and the Paul Roger Brut Reserve 2013 got a 10.0. So it's
See,
slightly
we
under
didn't
that.
rate
We
the
never
Bollinger.
rated Bollinger?
Bollinger, yeah.
We haven't done Bollinger?
We did it. We didn't rate it.
Interesting.
Oh, that's a crime.
It is. That was an excellent
Well,
champagne.
Yeah, that
because
was a long time
I
ago.
guess we'll
That's-
have to drink it again, guys.
Because that's like a whole different animal. That's
Yeah.
like a whole different animal.
Yep. And then on the Armagnac, we did the
Hold on. We didn't rate the Paul Roger vintage?
We
Brut
did.
Reserve
It got a
2013.
10. It got a
Got a
10.
flat
So
10.
we haven't rated the regular
No.
non-vintage?
We did not rate the
my
regular.
Wow.
How
We've
is
had
that
like
possible?
1,000 times on
Because
this
we
podcast.
drank it, we never rated it.
It's the MC's fault.
Really?
No, it's not.
It's bad. It's Baba Booey. It's
Bad
bad,
podcast
production.
management.
Do your job.
So on the Armagnac at a
9.7
9.7 tonight. I'm not even acknowledging these commentary. The
Chop us.
the D'Artigalong XO got a 9.0 on episode 92.
Okay.
So this was quite a bit better than that from
Yeah.
a rating standpoint. And then on the cigar, I want to compare it to the other 8 Partagás cigars that we've done on the podcast since day 1. Episode 1, we did the Maduro number 1. That was an 8.7. The New Year's Eve episode 2 years ago, if you can believe it, we did the Partagás Series D number 4, which got a 9.2. On episode 14, the Culebra episode, if you remember how
Oh, that
amazing
was
that
incredible.
was.
Incredible.
we gave the Culebras a 9.3, which was a huge shock.
In fairness, we were school children on that.
That's true. Excited naive school children. The Partagás short from episode 16 got an 8.0. Episode 36, the Series P number 2, 8.7. The Partagás Lusitanius was a huge disappointment with Rob Isla on episode 56, got a flat 8.0. The Coronas Gordas Anahados on episode 64 was a 9.7. That was an excellent cigar. And then finally on episode 82, the Series E number 2 was a 9.3. So this is the first Partagás in a while. Rating at a 9.0 kind of falls in the middle of the pack.
Surprising because an
Yes.
E2, based on tonight's experience, blows the doors.
Yeah. And rated
Off.
3, rated 3
It's
points higher.
interesting,
Yeah.
points in time, you
Yeah.
know.
So boys, another year done. We're
Yes,
on to
sir.
2024.
Bring it on, baby.
We had 2 pairings. The Dom Pérignon Champagne from 2013 got a 9.7. And matching that at a 9.7 was the Delord 25-year aged Armagnac. And the Partagás 898 from Cuba got a flat 9.0. Great night, guys. Great conversation and another great year. Thanks so much to our listeners out there. And we'll see everybody next week.
Keep smoking.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.